I'm not blocking the screen. That's goodness. I'm not like totally 100% like blocking everything around me. So that's a goodness, you know. Let's remove that starting soon. How they actually like put in like music, more calming, more like, like what we're gonna be talking about, you know. It's probably too exciting. And all my music from Amanugi is like either tense stuff or like in the middle of like a dungeon like this, you know? All right, hey, welcome. Welcome everybody for the DD early game to mid game to late game. I'm not going to be talking about end game like at all because everything inside end game is completely different from late game and mid game. However, it is really easy to explain like early game and mid game about like basically everything from early to late game is very doable regardless of where you are inside a game, you know. Tell me to say hi. Hey, what's up, Brother Melody? But yeah, I'm here to teach you guys how the basics from like doing from like starting from the game to the mid game to the late game or like even early late game. There is a lot to be doing like in mid game, and I mean a lot. It really gets a little overwhelming, so I just want to explain each one pretty clearly and explain the priorities of each one and which one actually provides like the best or what really provides like the most and stuff. Is this your PowerPoint? Yeah, it kind of is a PowerPoint, you know. I'll be basically explaining like everything that goes on basically. The only part I'm not going to be explaining, to be honest with you, is probably like end game stuff or like early end game stuff. Because the difference from late game stuff and then the difference from late to early end game stuff is drastically, and it's not because of gear reasons, it's purely because of skill reasons. Now, the first thing before I continue, right? Before I do anything else, I will talk about equipment in here, but it won't be anything like too drastic or like something like really lame, like saying, "Oh, as a DD, you got to upgrade from a Celtic staff to a demo." No, no, I'm not gonna do that to you. I'm gonna be explaining everything with purely just the Celtic staff. I just have the other staff stairs to explain what mid game and late game is and what end game will look like later on. But that's all that stuff is completely off the off the chart as of this moment. I would talk about end game stuff, like early end game to end game stuff a lot later. But I feel like this is for more like more familiar for other people, you know? As I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to learn more about what they can do right now in the game. This is purely aiming at people who are playing the game right now. Like they're just, in the game, they're just trying to do stuff. They're just doing shadow missions or they're getting started with techs or they're doing techs. They're just learning how to make a demolition weapon. This is pretty much like the perfect aim towards those folks. Basically, the point of this guide is aimed to those people who want to learn data, Crom, or like even Glenberta hard mode. Because personally, I think all that stuff should be treated as just only like early late game. Personally, that's me personally, and I'll explain about that a lot later. All right. So let's get to the first part. I'm gonna be honest with you. DD is a really simplified like Arcana. I'm gonna be really honest with you. It's a really simplified Arcana. It has a lot of utility. It's very strong inside its burst damage, really high burst damage. Its reforges aren't too harsh onto players. I will argue about something inside the part where I talk about gear and enchants and reforges, but that's for later on, okay? But just now, DD is one of the more easier ones to get into, a lot more fun as well. A lot of people really enjoy early game and mid game, and I think it shouldn't be like anything to look down on. It's fine for itself, and it's pretty good for what it is. Uh, I'm just giving you guys mostly the pros of what DD has. The biggest con that DD has, honestly, is resource management early game. Uh, Early Dark Diviner really punishes the amount of Dorka that you do. So keep that in mind. Dorka is really important. It will take some time to get used to of your like simple like rotation and stuff. I will go into more detail about rotations later on. But for now, just know that DD is really easy. It's just like an easy rotation to learn really bursty, like damager. It's not really a huge damage per second, but it is a really big damage per minute kind of class, I would say. So let's get through everything of what you're going to be doing inside early to mid game. Of course, you're going to be doing Planet, of course. You're going to be doing some Stardust. You don't need to finish off Stardust, I should remind you. Hey Lord, is Dark Conversion Glyph very helpful to mitigate that issue? Sadly not. I will be getting into glyphs a little bit later on, purely because glyphs do have their own little section. Um, I would argue that these are more important before like anything, even starting out as DD, right? I would honestly argue that you should be doing all this stuff first, such as finishing up Blanid. By the way, Blanid does teach you Arcana for the first time, and she will try to push you to an Arcana that you really enjoy. But if your primary like focus is on DD, Blanid will really help out by a lot. Ticks are really nice. This is after Blanid, so keep that in mind. Ticks are always nice. Try to cap them as fast as possible. You can take your time on them. I think the biggest ones that you should really focus on early game to mid game is probably Bunting Field and Dampening, just to help out with your defense and protection early game. Later on, those would become irrelevant, but for now, these are really helpful. Rebirthing, of course, for Gifo pots and rebirths. Really important for DD. I'll explain more why it's really important for DD. You should really focus on unrestricted dungeons like Albi Hard Mode, Rundle, Shadow Missions for Spirit Gems. I will honestly recommend Veteran Dungeons. Really good, really great mid game, really huge. A lot of people do look away from it. And basically any of the Baltan missions. They're really rewarding, gives a lot of experience, and they give a lot of AP too. Really friendly. I also recommend Renown. Renown is very important late game. The extra like 800, 900 mana that it provides is a huge difference. It's really helpful, and I mean really helpful. Stardust is a really big damage increase as well, a lot of damage reduction. Uh, I would argue it is something to put on more of a passive kind of thing. I wouldn't really hard focus on it personally. I would only hard focus it if there's a master plan helping out with it. I wouldn't recommend doing it just because you want to do it, unless you really want to. I think it should be like one of the last things you should upgrade it, purely because of the life skill mostly. Because keep in mind that you will be training some life skills and you will be training some combat skills, and Stardust has a combination of both of them. And sometimes the combat one is just a lot easier than the life one. But you do need both of them. But yeah, just train Stardust passively. Don't focus on it too hard. It's the same story with totems. I feel like they should be more of a passive thing. They are really nice to have. They're really good. Alban totems provide more magic attack, more intelligence, and even more defensive protection. The Fate totem from Kraken also provides really good benefits for techniques such as Fate Weaver. Very, very powerful. Tree is really good as well. Uh, Unified Might is an odd one, but Phantasmal Sight increased damage is pretty good too. Square weapons, really recommended. That's the reason why I have those passes in the first place. All of them provide a lot of gems. Spirits are really important. Getting your first 100 spirit on your main weapon is so game changing and so nice to have. And it's really helpful. And of course, the blue upgrades for your staffs, wands, and smolderings and frost threads, of course. All of this is very important mid game, from early to mid game to focus on that stuff. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, wait, frost threads in mid game? I think Glen Normal, even inside a public party, is very doable at when you start out Arcana. Heck, I would even argue that Tex with Arcana, like Link 2 or 3, is really doable. It'll be really hard, and it will punish you, but I wouldn't recommend soloing them. I think the only time I recommend soloing, like, Tex when it comes to uh Arcana Link, I strongly recommend only soloing Tex once you hit Arcana Link 50 personally, especially for DD, because we are going to be talking about the next slide here about why there's a big difference when it comes to DD and all that stuff. And it comes to equipment. I'm gonna be very honest, the early game to mid game DD does not change at all. I'm gonna be really honest with you. I know there's a Celtic staff, and I know some of you are going to be like, but what about late game? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think the demolition weapon is considered as a late game weapon. I know, kind of crazy. I'll explain here pretty soon. So I did put one thing in here, which is a hat. I think I personally did the math for it. I think fire mastery for the hat is more important early game to mid game, purely because of the damage output that explosive lunge can provide. It's very friendly, very helpful, and can really do a lot of damage. I'll explain about more about that in some rotations. So let's get to the next part where what you're going to be doing as a DD, like after you do all this stuff, right? Like all this stuff, like what exactly kind of upgrade paths do you want to do, right? Now, I know a lot of you are going to be like, well, obviously I need to get elemental body, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you, no, you really don't. And then you guys will probably think speed boots. Now, I think speed boots are probably one of the last things you're going to be upgrading. There is an argument I did try to do when it came to gloves. I actually went back and forth of the map on this, and there's a lot of things that did came to mind, and there's a lot of things that I was kind of fighting for myself. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Like you get a set, right? Look, where are they? There you are. I'm gonna be frank. I think professional silk weaving gloves are a lot better than most gloves. And I know some of you are going to be like Rosemary's. Yeah, look, I know Rosemary's are a thing. And I know, look, here's the thing about Rosemary's that I don't really like personally. I think they're just a gimmick. I'm sorry. The fact that they only provide 50% more ice damage. I know that seems like a lot. That's almost like about 20 levels of Reforge just right there, right? That's a lot, right? That's good. That's really good. I just look, they're just not really good compared to just normal like magic attack gloves though that provide 80 magic attack because that's alone 20 levels of magic attack, you know? Mind you, you could get a magic attack, 11, it's just 2 mil, right? Like there's an 18 right here for 25. I don't know, it's just a lot cheaper, it's just more beneficial overall. I don't know, like compared to rosemary gloves, like rosemary gloves can have ice spear. That's cool and all, and that's really nice. But I don't know, the prices from each other, especially when you can just simply just get a pair of like these gloves, right? That don't even break. They take forever to break, by the way. I know they're unrepairable. I know that for a fact. They're unrepairable. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I had a pair with me for almost like 3 years, and they have yet to even hit like a single digit. I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually gave them away to another friend of mine just to see if they could break it, and they have yet to break it. Oh no, you forgot you were wearing them. The thing is, right? Suck weaving gloves are really easy to make, and there's also really easy ways to get them to rank 1 nowadays. I don't know. They shouldn't be costing around like that crazy at the first place. I don't know. I personally still go against the Rosemaries. Don't get me wrong, the Rosemaries are fine. The Rosemaries are really fine. They're okay. But I wouldn't go out of my way to purchase them if you really know what you're going to do with them, like an ice build, like a proper ice build. But the ice build is not like Hailstorm. It's like a whole ice spear build. The Hailstorm thing with Rosemary's doesn't calculate too well, so it kind of falls drastically. But it is an argument that I will be hearing a lot. So just keep that in mind. I purely think the Fire Mastery hat is more beneficial, as well as the Silk Weaving Gloves when it comes to efficiency, when it comes to mid game. Purely because this Eddy magic attack, right, can really make a difference to your piercing levels. Because you can understand, the most thing that you're going to try to focus while indeed is try to like look for it's try to look for this saving mana unlock, right? Which is at your first piercing level of 1k. That's what you're trying to aim for. And Rosemary Gloves are not going to help you with that. No matter what you say. Rosemary Gloves will not help you hit this 1k. Anything with magic attacks, such as these gloves, your staff with blue upgrade on top of it, and even this hat, just providing a little bit of it, will really help out. It will really help out. getting that first 1k magic attack is so important versus just random 15% ice mastery from the gloves can make a real difference. But yeah, but the biggest upgrades, I think, personally, like even before any of this, right? Before the Silk Weaving gloves, before the Fire Mastery hat and all that stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, you'd be honestly staying inside the early game stuff with the Celtic staff that you get for free, right? I'm gonna be really honest with you. I think the biggest upgrade that a DD can do, right? That will cost the most, by the way. It will cost the most, and it will be really expensive, but it is number one priority. I think Link 9 is always a must. It is a must-have thing for a Dark Diviner to have. The first thing you do in this game. It doesn't matter what equipment you have. Your number one priority as a Dark Diviner is getting that Link 9. It's gonna cost a lot of gold. It's gonna cost a lot of time. It is the biggest and the most beneficial thing that you can do at mid-game, getting into late game. It is the most beneficial thing that you should be doing. It should be the most like focused thing that you should do. You should honestly ignore buying any like reforging hats or even gloves, to be honest with you. This is pretty much the biggest thing. There's a lot that Link 9 provides. It gives you an extra cast inside your Fireball, Thunder. It provides a lot more magic attack. It also provides more even like Dorka, like and render mana. It even provides like there's a lot of benefits at Link 9. It also increases your how large your polar vortex is. It is downright the best investment that you could do inside mid game. And you can do this at any time. That's the best part about this. You could totally take a break at any point of your gameplay and just work on it passively. It is, but it is really important to finish this off before you do any big purchases like a hat or gloves or even a body or boots. I would strongly recommend just staying in the blended gear as much as possible because the Link 9 is just that drastically large. It's just really nice to have. It is ridiculously helpful to have, and it can really change a lot of things. It increases your Thunderblight timer as well by 2 seconds. That is a huge rotation difference, and I will talk about the rotation later on. But before any of that, right? Before anything else, before reforges, before weapons, before anything, I strongly recommend getting Link 9 before anything else. It is that big of an impact and it's so good. It is probably the most beneficial thing you can do as a Dark Diviner. You can do it legitimately at any time right now. You can go there right now. You could go buy small rings if you want. Go to Tex, pick up some small rings. Just don't spend your gold on random equipment. Alright? You don't need it. Got this. Alright. So we're gonna be learning all the scales here, shall we? We're gonna be going off from the toppest highest priority one to the lowest priority one to Hex Shroud. I know that sounded really mean to Hex Shroud, but like there's a reason why Hex Shroud is not part of the pyramid. Uh, so we're gonna be talking about like the importance of each one and why they're really big and why Sevian Mana is at the very top. Here's the thing, right? Don't look at me like that. Look, Sevian Mana is the most important out of all the other skills, purely because of how much piercing can provide. This thing can provide 3 piercing plus 1 more once you reach Link 9, by the way. Each one depends on your magic attack level, of course. Of course, as a mid-level player, you probably won't have this amount of magic attack. I know it's kind of hard for a lot of people to hit the 1.4k. It would take some time, believe me. But hitting that 1k, like early game, is so nice. This extra piercing by itself and the piercing from Link 9 on top is so wonderful. You have basically 2 piercing already at Link 9, and that's what really makes Sevian Mana so powerful and really does a lot of damage. This thing alone, right, having that 1k magic attack and at least 1 extra piercing from Link 9 can really make a big difference when it comes to a lot of fights. So this is why Sevian Mana is at the very top. It is the most prioritized thing for a Dark Diviner. You should always have this active. You should always upkeep your Darka. It is the bread and butter of all Dark Diviners. If you don't have this on and you're playing Dark Diviner, I don't know what you're doing. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds like a roast because it is. I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing? what are you doing? What are you playing? Are you playing Dark Diviner or you're not playing Dark Diviner? You might as well just be a lame diviner if you're not using Sevian mana. Because no one wants a lame diviner. All you could do is just Polar Vortex and probably deal a little like poke at a thing. Have fun with that. Alright, next one, really big importance. Explosive Lunge, Fire Lunge, Boning, the Explosive, the Killer. This is probably your most damage dealer. This is the biggest damage dealer right here. It depends on how many like Fire Master Day you have on here. This I would strongly recommend to get after you get like Link 9, right? Steven is fine to turn off when Flare's is off cooldown. I disagree actually. I think that's like the biggest time where you need to upkeep it, to be honest with you. I think Steven should be always on, and if you are going to be turning it off, you should just swap to a bow. Having Steven not on is a huge detrimental into your damage for big reasons. Yeah, no, even if it's on cooldown, it's not. No, I disagree to that because you're never going to be turning it off for one big reason. Technically, two big reasons, but I'll explain the second one later. The first one I will explain once I get to the learning rotation part. All right. That means Steven Thunder is a waste of Dorka. Uh, I don't think it is. It's no damage uptime, and I think that's kind of the biggest thing about DD. That's the most important thing for any DPS, to be honest. So just upkeeping that damage uptime. Now, I would teach the basic rotation and how you can like take advantage of Steven mana, even between like what's going on and what's happening. Like I'll explain it here instead of learning rotation part. But yeah, Explosion Lunge, pretty powerful, really good. Explosion Lunge gets an increased damage increase from Thunderblight when you have this active, so it's recommended to use these two skills and coercive. I will talk about more about that inside the rotation part. But as of this moment, Explosion Lunge gets affected by Fire Mastery. It's really important to get more Fire Mastery for this bad boy because this bad boy hitting that high is really crazy, especially with Lightning Blight, with Thunder Blight on. It's crazy. It's a great DPSer. It's a great burster. It's amazing. Uh, Next is Thunder Blight. I'm gonna be honest with you. I strongly recommend, strongly unrecommend getting anything that's Thunder unless you're Thunder spamming, like as a Reforge, like Thunder, Lightning Elemental Reforge, right? I strongly advise going for anything like that to increase its damage. I heard a lot of people treat this as a damage dealer. I'm gonna be honest with you, you should not be treating this as a damage dealer. It should be treated as a debuffer than anything else, because that's what it does. It just debuffs things. It does damage, but more importantly, it debuffs things. And that's what the more important part about it. It increases damage to your Explosive Lunge and Fusion Bolt by 10% and 15% respectively. This thing can be a real game changer too, because it can provide a lot of piercing because of how much damage magic defense and magic protection it does. We can even look at it right now. Oh, that's something. So there it is right there, where it takes down, where it increases your Shadow Flare up to 30% when it's main targeted, right? And your Bolt Magic's get 10%. Oh, I thought it was 10 to 15. Sorry about that. That's me being wrong. But yeah, Shadow Flare gets increased by 30% more damage, which is ridiculous. This will be part of the rotation, keep that in mind. And your Bolt spells will get increased by 10%. This will be important as well later on. But the more important part about it is that this target magic defense of decrease of 30% and magic protection by 15%. This is really powerful. And the fact that I see a lot of people just treat it as just a random damage dealer, it's okay, but I strongly advise it purely because it's more of a debuffer than anything else, and it's a lot more important as a debuffer than really a damage dealer. And it can really make a difference when it comes to long fights, such as like bosses that can take a while, such as Glen Burno, or even tech bosses. So keep that in mind. I will keep talk about these two pretty soon here inside the rotation part. Let's go to the Dorka to mana. and a mana Dorka mana to Dorka. Would it be okay to use a Celtic Tribal one instead of a staff during this process? Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Alright, so these two are pretty much going to be used off pretty much like off cooldown. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, what's up, Misfit? I'm gonna be honest with you, these two will be pretty much used constantly all the time. You always want to upkeep your mana. I think the only time you don't want to use this is if you're filled with mana. Same story with Dorka, the mana to Dorka. If you're just pretty much max with Dorka, and this will happen whenever you get your Rakaman explosion, active, or like the Dorka engaged all the way up to 100%. It will happen, by the way. I'll explain about that more inside the rotation part. Uh, Mostly what happens is that you should always be focusing whenever these are off cooldown, right? And I will talk about them inside of rotation here soon. Uh, these things are pretty much recommended always off cooldown being used. There's a few fights where you'd be like, oh man, and now I'm just kind of waiting, and that's pretty much the perfect opportunity to use these two, right? Kind of like inspiration. But yeah, these two are really important, really helpful, really need to be used more. I'll explain why the Dorka to mana isn't as important. It is important, but it's not as important as mana to Dorka. And I will talk about it. Polar Vortex. Polar Vortex is really nice. I really wish people stop using it as a DPS skill though. I'm sorry. Look, I'll explain here why it's not really that good at DPS. Look, man, it does 700 to 1k ice damage at one charge ice spear, depending on where it is. The further it is, the less the ice spear charge damage is. This means the 700 damage for my spear from very far does like absolutely no damage. Okay? Here's the thing. All it does is that it drags things to the middle and deal more damage and keeps them there without getting any knockdown gauge, okay? It's really good. It can work well with specifically a few skills. It works fantastic with Lightning Rod. It does well with Blaze. I'll talk about Blaze like really short. I will talk about Lightning Rod a lot more, but Blaze is more of an advanced tech thing. So I will talk about that in like end game stuff, all right? It doesn't allow them to like fall down to fireball like hard knockback or thunder. It doesn't get hard knockback by like even fusion bolt or even meteor. It's really overpowered for that. But that's the thing. It is not a damage dealer. I don't know why I keep seeing people use it as like something they can use inside the rotation. It is really expensive. Yeah, it will become a VOD later. When do I get CV to Rage for piercing 3k? Get out of here, you. I can't watch this right now, but looks like something I need. Yeah, you can watch this later. It will always be a VOD. But look, here's the thing, right? I absolutely need to start telling a lot of people to stop using this thing on a large boss that can't get sucked into it in the first place, can't get affected by it with its brought back, because this thing costs 5 Dorka every single time you cast it with a staff, or 4 Dorka with a wand. And I don't think you understand how much 5 Dorka can really kill when it comes to like any form of rotation. It is really not recommended to use this at bosses. It's only recommended used on trash mobs or like ads, and that's it. Anything that can get affected by it is good. But I strongly recommend to stop using it as a DPS or a gap closer, because it just isn't those two things. I'm sorry, it just really isn't. It realistically can't do the job too well when it does those two things. It's nice, don't get me wrong. It is nice. The fact that it does damage, honestly, if it didn't deal any damage, I'm pretty sure people would stop using it as a DPSer, because it is not a DPSer. It does low damage, it doesn't do a lot, and I wish people stop wasting their Dorka on it when they're trying to DPS something, when they can be using it for other resources. Because 5 Dorka is nothing to scoff at. Vortex would kill non-boss enemies. Yeah, it's fine. Like I said, it's fine for trash mobs. It's fine for ads. It's fine for those stuff, because it brings them into the middle. It deals more damage into the middle. But like using it on a boss, right? That could easily just move out of it, or casually just like walk out of it, or just like, and I mean this, casually just move. Like I mean, legitimately just casually walk away. Doesn't get affected by it. And it's a waste of 5 Dorka right there. And I just wish I saw people stop using it. It's nice to have. It is really great to have. It is a great versatile, like, it's a great versatile utility, like, skill. And that's what it is. It's a great utility skill. It should not be treated as a DPS, you know? It really shouldn't. And I wish people stop using it as some form of DPS because that 5 Dorka can be used for your next rotation instead. I think the only time I ever will use this as a DPSer, right, is if I get Brackmang Explosion, right? When it happens, when you get like a bunch of Dorka back, that's legitimately the only time I ever see myself using it on a boss, to be honest with you. And even then, I will argue with myself that is enough DPS because at that point, I might as well just would have used Meteor, I would have used Lightning Rod, I would have used Blaze instead. There's like a lot of other options that deal a lot more damage on it. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why people you put it on the fifth donut or anything like that. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no point of it. There's other things to do besides putting down this vortex just randomly just to deal damage. It's just not a good damage dealer. And I wish people stop using it as a damage dealer. It's nice. It's good that it does damage. Honestly, if they remove the damage, it wouldn't change anything about it. I'm not gonna lie. It's the same story with Thunderblight. If they remove the damage off Thunderblight, it wouldn't change anything. It's just nice to have. It's just nice that it does damage. That's all. It should not be the main focus. And that's my next argument about Rosemary's. Please, I beg of you, do not get Ice Mastery Hat and then a Rosemary Glove and say you're an Ice Wizard because you want to put Polar Vortex as your main ice damage dealer. Please, I beg of you. Look, man, I'm not against like any gameplay, but please don't do that. You just ice spear the thing. Oh man. All right, and then Hex Shroud. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's not a lot of things you can Hex Shroud. It's kind of there. It's nice to have. It's just kind of there to do. If anything, I think the biggest advantage of this thing is that whenever you Hex Shroud something and they try to cast mana, like anything with magic, you get some Dorka back and they hit themselves. Like that's pretty much the biggest thing about it. I know nothing else is really special about it. It's okay. I don't think I would change anything about it or do anything about it. It's okay. It does its job. You know, it affects some carries, not the dark carries. Affects some Glen Burna like minions whenever they try to cast Ice Spear or something like that. It's okay. Um, I guess the only argument I have with it, to be honest with you, is I kind of want the debuff on it to be longer. To be honest with you, I think what it is right now is quite short for what. Oh, Funny Keeper, crazy. Welcome. We're learning about DD. I'm explaining the early to mid to late game. Not about the end game, by the way. The end game stuff I will talk about like a lot later. Tomorrow I'll be talking about the a chemical stinger mid the early to mid the game. A chemical stinger will be coming out tomorrow, all right? Today is DD because a lot of people are inside DD and I feel like this is more important for And then EK will be next after that. So today, Thursday, will be DD. Tomorrow will be a Chemical Stinger on Friday. Saturday will be Glenn's. Monday will be EK. Harmonic Saint will be Tuesday. And then Wednesday, actually, is a special thing where I'm going to be showing off talents and their advantages and disadvantages. Yeah, learning how to do stuff. All right, we're going to get into the rotation part about learning the rotation of DD. It's just that. That's it. That's what you gotta learn. Look, I'll get into more depth into it. Here's the thing. All right. The biggest thing about DD is that it is a huge, and I mean this, it is the biggest burst damage dealer there is. DD is one of the strongest burst damage dealers. It is god awful when it comes to damage per second versus any other Arcana, but its burst rotation is the most impactful, and that's why it always upkeeps. Why it's the most powerful when it comes to damage per minute. It does drastically fall off when it comes to DPS, like damage per second, but it does overcome when it comes to damage per minute, though. So the way you can do this, right, easily, is by loading up Explosion Lunge and just hold it, target something, and then have Thunderblight on that thing, and then shoot out the Explosion Lunge. While Thunderblight is active, you can use Fusion Bolt, you can use Thunder, you can use Fireball. They're all really impactful. They're really helpful, and then you can shoot out another Explosion Lunge before your Thunderblight is gone. This is why Link 9 is very important. That 2 extra seconds that Link 9 provides for Thunderblight is the biggest difference for this rotation. Keep that in mind. If you do not have Link 9, you cannot do the second Explosion Lunge. And that's what makes DD so powerful. It's what makes a difference. I will show you guys an example how this works out, of how this rotation works, without any buffs, without anything out at all. You can do this legitimately at any time, alright? I won't even turn on Spell Walk. I won't even turn on, like, Steven. What's that? Get out of here. I won't even turn on Steven Mana or anything like that. So, watch this, alright? We have our target. Just push tab on him. As you can see, there's a little indicator on him. Right? You can escape from it just to drop it down. Just load up your Explosive Lunge. And then target. And then Thunderblight and shoot it out. And that's it. While Thunderblight is going off, right? Just wait for your next Explosive Lunge to happen again. And just load it up again. And that's it. That's legitimately your entire Dark Diviner rotation right there. Anything before or after that, it's pretty much all up to you. Fireball, Fusion Bolt, heck, we will even get into debuffs, and this is why I was saying to not turn off your Steven Mana, because once we get to the debuff phase, and this is why Dark Diviners are really powerful, is because of the mostly the debuff phase, and why it's so powerful right now. And if you kept in mind of how much Dorka I had as well, you see I started with 15. That took about 8 Dorka just right there, just to do that entire rotation. So just keep in mind that you always will have Render Dorka before anything happens. So you Shadow Flare, Thunderblight, and you will have Render Dorka before the next Thunderblight, before your next Shadow Flare happens. And that's how you upkeep your Dorka always constantly up. So, if you like, I can show it here right now with the Dorka meter right there. There you go. And that's how you upkeep your Dorka and do rotation. That's it. I know it just looked like a bunch of stuff that just happened right there at the very end, but I'll explain about that, about the debuff rotation. All right. But you can see I have kept my Dorka above 10 constantly, and always had, you know, opportunities to sit down like Thunderblight. I had opportunities to also use like Hex Shroud. I had opportunities to use like Lightning Rod or Meteor as well. It was still more opportunities, but I was still above 10 Dorka constantly. You also saw that my mana was drastically going down, and I didn't use render mana at all. And I'll explain about that right here, right now. And this comes because of Thunder reasons and because of ego reasons, actually. If I can push the button right, there it is. So ego does have this little special effects that recovers your mana per hit. So what this actually does, right, is that whenever you cast Thunder on something, Thunder actually has a chance of 6 chances, actually, of striking something and unlocking this lucky strike to happen. This 10% chance that happens constantly can always set off, especially with Thunder. And this is why Thunder is strongly recommended, purely to set off this lucky strike. There is another thing I should teach you before we go on to the more into the rotation part, and that is Thunder canceling. You guys probably heard about it and wasn't really explained too much. But here's the biggest advantage that Thunder has of Thunder canceling. Let's just kill our mana real fast. It'd be a lot easier if I was using Sonic Sam. Alright, I think that'd be noticeable, right? So how to Thunder cancel is that you would strike with Thunder first, right? Oops, wrong one. You would strike with Thunder. But once you strike it, here's how Thunder looks like normally, right? Now that's how Thunder is normally. You can see that the skill is still popped up and stuff. But the Thunder cancel, you simply just cast it and press escape. You hear it, and you can cast it again. To allow the strikes to keep happening over and over. This actually saves you 1 second of like downtime, and that's all it does. Thunder canceling is powerful, but if you don't want to keep pressing escape like constantly, or like if you're just moving around constantly, it can become annoying. Yeah, every single cast. Watch this. This is like Night Owl. That's the biggest difference. You can keep seeing the strikes just going on top of each other, sometimes even overlapping at times. And I'll show you what normal Thunder will look like. I keep guessing that one. You see how my animation is still there? My character is like still trying to cast it. But you can see there's a drastic, it is pretty drastic how slow normal Thunder is. It's quite noticeable. But yeah, that's pretty much the entire learning procedure of like the rotation of what you're going to be doing. Right? You just load up Explosive Lunge. Don't shoot it. Just hold on to it. Cast Thunderblight to the target that you're aiming at. Right? You can push tab or whatever your targeting like button is. I keep that in mind that your little target thing is inside your hotkeys. Where is it? There it is. Your move target part will always be changing the target of it. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that focus. Move targeting will always change the target whenever you push tab. So if you want to attack something else, it is actually really noticeable how much damage you're losing whenever you're not doing it though. So just keep that in mind that every single time you tab, you will be swapping to a different target. This targeted thing will be where your Thunderblight goes on. Keep that in mind. So if I'm targeting this, right, and my mouse is over here, if I use Thunderblight and I swap, your Thunderblight won't swap. So if you Explosion Launch something else, it doesn't deal the full damage. As you can see, I only did 108k on that, just by itself. You will need to keep in mind of what things you are targeting, especially when in larger groups. So just keep that in mind. So just keep that in mind, alright? Multiple targets will become easier for you once you start noticing your own target. Especially taking advantage of Explosion Lunge, like range, right? Just that much more different, you know? I didn't crit, but you can see it was pretty close to the crit that I did before. That extra, like, legitimately extra, like, 30% damage is insane, and it is really noticeable. Just keep in mind of that, and you would take advantage of Explosive Launch legitimately almost every single fire. Just remember to use your Dorka rendering a lot. Your mana to Dorka, right? You should do it always before every single Explosive Launch. You will have exactly enough Dorka before it runs out. You can honestly do this even at 0 Dorka this entire rotation. Always. You have exactly enough for it. Your Thunderblight might get really close to going away, but it gives you exactly enough time. Even when spam casting Fireball, Thunder, or even Fusion Bolt. By the way, I'll talk about the Fusion Bolt part later on. It will give you exactly enough Dorka before the next explosion launch happens. Just keep that in mind. Always have this always active, always ready to go. No matter what happens. Don't get interrupted. There will be times where it will get interrupted. Just cast this first one as fast as possible, as soon as possible, and shoot the second one as soon as possible as well. Now, the biggest thing that can really help out here is honestly Vivace. Vivace really helps out when it comes to this because it can make the rotation drastically a lot faster. Even a low level Vivace like 20% can really make a difference. Just keep that in mind. Now, we're gonna get to the part where we can do debuffs and debuff rotation. I'm gonna be honest with you, I left this empty on purpose because I wanted to explain to you what each debuff does first before anything else, and which one is the more important one, and which ones are the least important ones, and which ones you can take advantage of at any time, and which ones you can't take advantage of. Now, obviously, we should introduce the easy big ones, which are usually pets. Do I have a cat one? Do I not have a cat one? I probably don't have a Perling. Oh wait, they're called Perling stuff. That's why I was like, what? Do I not have a Perling? I don't have a Perling save. Hang on. Kill one. No, what? Where is it? Bro? What are you called again? Oh, that's a dumb name for it. There we go. Let's get the biggest one out of the room. The cat, obviously. This thing does a lot by itself. Like, I mean, by itself, it does a lot, right? We're talking about, like, negative defense, like mana defense, mana protection, as a bone dragon, right? It does plus, I think it can go up a 16 magic attack, right? If I can recall. I could double check on that real fast. Hang on. I think the highest I can go up to is like 60, right? I feel like that's wrong. Double check. I could just legitimately just put it down on the ground right now. I just can't recall off the top of my head what it is. Yeah, no, it doesn't, it doesn't even say on the fucking. How do we know? It shows the numbers here. The highest one it can go up to. Oh, it goes up to 55. I thought it was 60. Yeah, that was pretty close. And it goes from the lowest from 25 to 55, which is noticeable. Big difference, quite noticeable. Does it say how much it debuffs for? No, it doesn't. That's okay. It's basically just a bone. It's like plus, I think 15 or something like that, if I can recall. So obviously that's one of the biggest ones. It's a Perling cap. That'd be like the top number one thing, right? Uh, there you are. Why not have this saved as well? I swear I have all this prepared. I'm so sorry. I swear I have all these skills prepared, and I just don't for some reason. There's smoke screen. Smoke screen is really good too. Smoke screen is just really fast. This helps out both physical and magic as well. Really good. I wish a lot of people actually noticed about it a lot more, to be honest with you. I wish a lot of people used it a lot more. It's really nice. It only lasts up for 30 seconds, by the way. However, what it does for magic, right, in particular, is that it does negative. Ooh, where is it? There it is. -7 prop and -20 prop defense. Sorry, for 30 seconds. Keep in mind, this is also for magic as well, not just for physical DPS as well. This does affect magic as well. It's really good, really nice. There is a no reforge that really helps us out, so keep that in mind. Reforge that does help it out only does mana defense, so don't even like try to increase it or do anything to it. Completely ignore the reforge of it. What was the other pet's name? What kind of name is that? No photo of it. Cool. Ugh. Did I give it to me? Yeah. Good enough. What a lame photo of it. Got number 2 on it. You do. I should put on a long timer. Fantastic course safe. I don't. Ah. Oh wait, it's not called Fantastic Course. It is. Um, line or something. Whatever. There we go. Because I was not prepared for this. I swear I had all it saved. But I guess not. Fantastic Chorus depends on how many you have. It could go from 30%, right, up to 50% on depending on the skill set effect that you have right now. This also can drastically change from 60 seconds up to almost I think the highest you can get up to is 78 seconds because of glyph reasons. I'll talk about the glyphs later. Which is no, these things are like the biggest ones right here. Where it does negative intelligence and will, and this does affect like pretty much a lot of things. Having that intelligence and will not available to the monster when you do Fantastic Course makes it one of the biggest debuffers in the game. It is hugely advised to use this one. Really powerful, really good. I don't see it as often though, which is weird. Not sure why. There's no reforge, so I fix it too. Not mine. No way I don't have Hydra. Bro! One Arbor. Oop. Like 8. I think 35, if I can recall. I think it stays up to 30 seconds at most. Go up to on how much have go up to 50 seconds. I know I have Prague. I know that for a fact. I know I have Prague. No way I don't. No way. When I have it. No, what? I do not have Prague. Heck. Oh, that's why. A dumb way to do it. There it is. There we go. What did I use? I use uppercut as well, but uppercut is like not really an actual thing. There is other pets that do as well, like matter defense. It's Ketsits. That one I don't really want to like. But if I don't have it, I'm not gonna put it in. I will put in Foxy Quinns though, because Foxy Quinns are really important. And Whale. Whale's important too. But I have either of them. I really have the Whale. No, I don't. Bro. We'll put those at top because they're really important. I think it lasts us for like 15 seconds if I can recall. Apparently I don't have the Foxy Quinn. Someone won. I knew that. It's been spelling Foxy Quinn for almost. There's no way I've been misspelling Foxy Quinn that much. I guess I haven't. I can't believe I've been misspelling it that much. Oh man, that's hilarious. I can't believe I've been misspelling it that much. You gotta understand. I've been spelling it both Foxii, like Foxy, because I thought that's what it was. It's hilarious. This increases damage by 5%. 10 seconds. That's right, this is 10 seconds. Okay. So plus 35 magic attack. Max. Well, for 50 seconds. Alright, this is pretty much like all the debuffs as a mage take advantage of. They're really easy to upkeep, right? We're not even talking about like anything else. There is a few things I do want to talk about debuffs in general though. And one of those is Web of Ego, right? So these are the biggest things that mages can use, right? They can use a cat, place down a cat circle, that's 55 or 25 extra magic attack if you just have a normal cat. Mana defense for 30 seconds. As a mirror, by the way. It doesn't replace the mirror, by the way. The bone duration is exactly the same. This one's 30 seconds, this one's 30 seconds. This one is 60 to 78 seconds, even at the lowest level. This one is probably the biggest one out of all of them, to be honest with you. I strongly recommend focusing on Fantastic Chorusing, like pretty much everything. There is one other thing that can debuff them too, which is really large. Fateweaver. I don't want to go into too deep into Fateweaver because of me talking about Fateweaver stuff, but I guess I should probably bring it up here how much it actually does. So, what Fateweaver actually does, right? When it comes to magic and their stats, right, increase damage too. Fateweaver can last up to 30 seconds, at most 40 seconds, right? But what Fateweaver can also do as well, even to yourself, by the way, it's plus 10% magic attack as well max. So keep that in mind. This is also negative 10% magic attack max to the enemy. And also, the big important part about it, right, is this part where it's 20% mana defense, mana protection. Sorry, it's just normal defense drop and mana defense. Sorry. Up. Whew, I am missing up that thing right there. There we go. And it's not 20% though. Now it's defense. And defense enemy. And then that's plus 10%, by the way. Keep typing in and prod to something more important. But yeah, this is pretty much the biggest thing about Fateweaver. Fateweaver is pretty much the strongest. It's not the strongest debuff, mind you, but it can last for 30 to 40 seconds. And it's probably the biggest thing, like biggest jump that you can do yourself and to the enemy. Just purely because you have another increase of magic attack and you also gain a lot of defenses. You also recover HP. Might as well just put that in. And I guess we could just like 10%. Ah, I actually don't notice this one, to be honest with you. The negative 10 casting speed onto enemies is kind of hard to see. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably one of the more like unnoticeable ones out of all of them. But Fate Weaver does a lot though. There's a lot that Fate Weaver does, okay? There's a lot. It does a lot of beneficial things. Like, I mean, a lot. I wish more people ran Fate Weaver. Wait, no, I don't. Never mind. Please, don't make Fate Phantasmal Remnants more expensive, please. Just go get your own. Nah, but I'm joking. It's really important. It's really powerful. I might as well put that in too, because it is. It's okay. Not wherever it is. Cosmos Side. It's like same damage. It's okay. Not like the biggest thing, but you know. Okay. Fine it. Why don't I just mouse over it? Oh no, it's 3% though. There we go. Just to explain how long it is, how powerful it is. All right, so these there's a lot. I know there's a lot of them, and don't get me started on glyphs as well, because oh shit. Yeah, bring him in. Oop, where did it go? There you are. Go away. There Okay, so you know what I'm doing. Silly goose. Yeah, I think it's based on invoke stuff as well. Yeah, duration. Ba. There it is. There we go. All right, this is pretty much all the debuffs. So here's the reason why I said to not turn off your mana saving whenever you're like and like between your rotations, right? Like after this rotation, right? There's some downtime, like after a little while. It's approximately about 8 seconds, 10 seconds while downtime, right? Of not using anything that's bursty. At this time, right? This gives you enough time to reapply pretty much all these debuffs, right? This is like the perfect opportunity for you to pretty much output all your debuffs besides these two. These two you'll be basically doing at the same time when you do first rotation, by the way, just because of how low 30 seconds are. But this does give you a perfect opportunity to reapply Smoke Bomb after after your rotation. This gives you a time to put down another Hydra. Keep in mind this is only possible with Perseus cylinders, right? And if your Wind Alchemy and if you don't want to get Perseus cylinders, you get your Wind Alchemy crystal up to 25% and use the Hydro Master with a hunch just to keep up. Always have your Hydra up all the time as well. So just keep that in mind. You don't need Perseus, but Perseus does make it a lot easier. But you know, I'm a poor guy. Plus, I don't really. So I'm just gonna stick to the red, bro. Fate Weavers every single 30 to 40 seconds, depending if you have the totem or not. The totem is powerful. I strongly recommend it. It's really nice. It's more of a quality of life totem than anything else. If you want more magic attack, of course, you can totally use just a totem for the 25 extra magic attack. Really worth it too. But this extra 10% magic attack is so nice. This 30 seconds of just debuffing is so noticeable and really. Fantastic Course should be like the first thing you should always be placing down. I should always tell you guys this before any fight, however, and this will happen a lot, by the way. They've been pushing this a lot, and I personally don't really agree with it, but they really want to push it a lot more. So, if you guys are new, some buffs don't get applied if you're not ready. And what I mean by that is that some buffs, like some debuffs, don't get applied to bosses when they have too much protection and defense, even for mana, for a magic attack. A good example is the Glenburna boss, Glenhardma boss actually, where if you try to Bone and Mirror it or Cat and Censor it, it won't apply the debuff because it has so much magic defense and so much magic protection, it won't get debuff. This also happens inside Fames as well. Foms is now gone, by the way. In Foms 30 with the Succubus Queen, you have to always fade it first. Because keep in mind, fate is a percentage, right? As you can see, it is 10% of what's going on with it, what defense and protection they have. Fate can honestly drastically change a fight from being a legitimately a 12 to almost 14-minute fight to a simple 4-minute fight. Fate is just that large of an increase. And you can see this legitimately anywhere when it comes to data. Data is the biggest example of what a fate difference is. Fate is so good. Fate is so powerful. Fate is just really overpowered and for what it does. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm surprised they have yet to nerf this thing. It has been in the game for almost 4 years, and they have yet to touch it or do anything to it. It is insane how much this thing does. Like, I mean, it is absolutely insane. So before anything, and I mean this, before any other debuff, you're always going to fade it. Because keep in mind, your fate does not update how much percentage it does. A good example is this. If a boss has over 100% 100 defense and you fade it, 10% of that 100% will be gone, which is bringing it down by 10, right? Now, before you fade it, right? What if you like bone or mirrored it, right? And now went down to about 75 defense. Now, if you fade it, it only does less. It does about 6 or 5 defense, which makes it weaker. So just keep that in mind. Your fate will become weaker after the first debuff rotation. Your first ever debuff should always be fate, no matter what the circumstance is. First thing always is going to be fate. Fate is the strongest debuffer. It is outright the most overpowered one too. And it should be always the first one to apply before you apply any other buff or debuff. Always fade it first. And then we can get to the fancy, snazzy stuff, such as smoke bombing it with a cat at the same time, hydrating it with a Censor at the same time. Fantastic Chorus on top of it, start pragging it, start turning on your glyph, especially if it's not moving around. The glyph one is kind of a meh thing. Does the Whale and Foxy Quinn stack? Yes, they do. The Foxy Quinn and the Whale do stack. It's really important to stack them. Just keep in mind you will summon the Whale first and then the Foxy Quinn, as the Whale does have some time to load up its like slam attack. I can show you right now what I mean. And I will show you guys the biggest difference of what debuffing and not debuffing it. So let's bring it to a good example here. We're gonna use my best friend here, Mr. Turtle. What's up, bro? Mr. Turtle here has over about 400 mana defense, 400 magic, over 400 magic defense, and over 400 magic protection. He also has over 400 defense and protection. This guy takes approximately about 15 hits with Bronic and a full load of your, as well, of a Prague, about 25 hits. That brings him exactly to 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, if you fight Mr. Turtle without any of these debuffs, it's gonna take a long fight, believe me. Even if I don't even do anything, right? If I just simply just cast, Explosion Launch with Thunderblight and strike it, as you can see, the highest I hit was 574k. That's not a lot, especially if his helpful. Look, it only just brought him down just slightly. Right. We're just gonna let Mr. Turtle heal up here. Right. We let him heal up. He's now back up to 994% of his health. He's pretty much like full health now. Now, let's get to debuffing him, and you see the biggest difference from each one. Oh, where am I? Thank you. As you can see, that wasn't even a crit, and I hit 422k, and that was without a crit. And that's the biggest difference from something being debuffed and something not being debuffed. It is insane how big debuffs and what can really change in your gameplay when it comes to debuffs. I have seen too many people argue that they can't kill something because it's just not debuffed at all. And that's the biggest difference. This fight could have taken up to almost 2 minutes without any form of debuffs. And I didn't even show like the whale and Foxyquin. Sorry about that. That was my mistake. I can show them on Mr. Turtle here. Let me just first put him like healing mode. He won't heal from. There we go. So first thing, gonna whale up. There's the debuff for whale, and here's the debuff for Foxyquin. As you can see, they both stack on top of each other, and they do apply the damage bonus too. I'll stop at you. Get at. Really nice. Both of them stacking on top of each other. It's legitimately almost an increase of 15% more extra damage with together. Don't get me started on how much important Dorka is as well. With Deathmark. I didn't put Deathmark in there, by the way. I should really put that out of it. Do you have a Foxyquin AI? I do. I have a Foxyquin AI that allows me just to throw Foxyquin little like daggers just like that. I also have a hotkey as well, just in case. Yeah, he just applies it whenever he likes. I also have it on the whale just to give me the little circle shield. That one's actually more common than anything else. If I can find it, I can share it with you, but I don't recall where gave it to me. Do I remember who gave it to me? Don't remember. I would just need to look in through DM, make it more public. Probably post it inside my Discord or something. How do I not have Deathmark saved, by the way? Weird. Deathmark is like so important. And I mean super important. I swear. Swear. Blah 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 blah. Go up to like no, I think go up to that right if I can remember top of my head. It's something like that with the outfit on top. And its duration from 15 seconds up. 8 seconds. Left the right reforges. I think that's right, right? How much do you do again? 6 seconds on top, so 6. Yeah. So it can go pretty high. It's like 7 seconds with those. And the amplification's crazy. It go up drastically above Death Mark. Yeah, I could go up to 5 on top. 30. I think the highest I could go up to is 35 with the body. Something like that. I'm talking to myself, sorry. Alright, so that's pretty much everything. And I'll explain what things get reforged and which are really important to have as a reforge. There was actually one thing about Hydra that is really important that's specifically for Black Echo Stones, which is magic protection. It is the only Echo Stone, right, that I strongly also really recommend because Hydra magic protection is really great. And I mean, oh man, it's really great. The magic protection happens at 0.5 per level. So if we did the math of that, 0.5 times 20, it's 10 extra magic protection gone. You know how much that is? I can bring this 18 to 20. That. That's huge. That's ridiculous, right? Hydra is really powerful inside the wizard set. It is really great and really powerful. But yeah, these are pretty much the reforges I'll be talking about. There's no reforges on pets, of course. These guys don't do anything. There is a smokescreen reforge. However, it only affects mana defense. So you're not going to ever pick this up. So don't even bother with it. There is a glyph with Fantastic Chorus, and that's why I put down the extra seconds. And there is also set effect equipment. These set effect equipments are really overtuned, by the way. A good example is these Seraphic Shoes. Seraphic Shoes give an additional plus 30 effect on top of it, which gives it the 50%, by the way. It is really, 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 really noticeable. And then there's also the hat. It's a cheaper method. I strongly recommend picking these up. But for some reason, oh, it might be just not at all. It might be just a troubadour. The Wicked Hat on top of it is plus 20% on top of your Fantastic Chorus. Keep in mind, Fantastic Chorus alone is only 20%, so plus 20 more is 40%, and then plus 30 more. What? What? That was random as hell. No, seriously, what the heck? Whatever. But yeah. Sorry, I did that math wrong right there. There we go. 20. But yeah, I really strongly recommend getting this one over pretty much everything else. The Hydra I will talk about here is only exclusively to the Black Echo Stone. When it comes to more magic protection, it gives 10 more at the max level of 20. The duration is affected by titles and the Perseus cylinder. I recommend just simply just getting a pair of Revenant cylinders. They're really cheap. It's like going to cost you at most 3 mil just to place down Hydras, and having the title, Master title and Dan title on top of it will increase it by about 40, about 43, 45 seconds. And then on top of that, having a wind crystal, right? Just cast like Wind Blast, Shark Yourself, cast Rain. Just have your wind marble up to like 75%, and you would pretty much have it. What's up, Gamer 362? Welcome to being one of Chin Champion families, where the Chin Champions can dance, hop around, and sometimes explode. Really recommend this. Hydroine has almost the same range, right? I will show you guys exactly the range of what Hydra is. Ready for this? Hydra is the same range as the first circle of this, right here. That's the range of Hydra right there. This entire little circle it has it. And if you have a glyph, it actually goes to the second circle, which is over here. This outer circle right here, right? If you see my mouse, it goes out here with the glyph. Just keep that in mind. Smokescreen does also have another reforge, which is Smokescreen Range, which is really important. As you can see, it can really fit on bosses. But as you can see, everything that is a debuff for wizards is all in this circle. It's really great. It's really convenient. It just makes it so much easier and straightforward, right? That everything is just a plain circle, you know? It just makes so, like, it is so, like, what? It makes logical sense, right? That everything is just a circle. It's just easy to tell. It's easy to, like, predict. The thing is, right? This circle, right? It's the same size. Huh? 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 You know what else is basically the same size as all this? Ah! It's just circles, bro! As a Dark Diviner, you're just playing Osu! You just keep them in the circles! It's just that easy. 9 outs, you know? Just keep them in the circles. It's just that good. Okay. Alright, next thing. Pragging. I'm going to explain to you how pragging works and how it doesn't work. I'm going to be honest with you, pragging is probably the most cheap, overpowered thing. And I wish they did the same thing to Boronic, because I'm going to show you a Mr. Turtle here pretty soon. Watch this, right? So I told you guys how Mr. Turtle has over 400 protection and magic protection and mana defense and normal defense, right? So this means it should take about like 25 hits from your Prag, right? Just to set it off, right? So here we go. That's 6 right there. That's 6 more. That's 12. 18. And now we're up to 26. That's pretty much all of Mr. Turtle's, you know, mana defense right there, right? So if I explosion launch it, right, instead of hitting my critical hit, which was about 430k, right, I should hit, right, approximately 900k, right? Well, my 350k pretty much almost killed it with this normal attacks. But as you can see, it's drastically different. You can see that I'm just hitting ridiculously large without anything at all. Frag is super overpowered. It's so nice and really nice. And you know what's the best part about it? Here, we'll kill Mr. Turtle here right now. You ready for the best part about Prague and what makes Prague so overpowered and overtuned versus Boronic? You ready for this? Just get a pair of guns, have Bulletstorm ready, right? There you go, he's Prague. 9 outs. You're done. You're gone. You're done. 9 outs. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to like thunder him or anything. Look, watch this. See? That's all you gotta do. 9 outs. Fragging is just that easy, you know? And that's how you do it. Do you see how much faster that is? Do you see how much more better that is? Do you see how just ultimately, like the speed of just simply just debuffing the thing, right? I'll show you guys like an example of how I do turtle. Plus, by the way, this might actually, you know, not get me to kill, by the way. It's just that easy. I don't even need to use a second explosive lunge. You know? Now you're going to be like, well, it's because you have a ruination, bro. Oh. What else, huh? Like, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Just give me out like a random staff, honestly. Do I have just like a staff just like, oh yeah. You wanna see this? Wanna know why I think you don't really need a demolition? I'm pretty sure I don't even have my next piercing level, by the way. What you doing, Mr. Toe? Kinda just staying there, huh? Whoop. Come on, come on. What are you on about, Train? Keep in mind, I don't even have the magic attack for like all piercing levels right now. Yeah, I am. Look at me. I don't even have like the other piercing level. And I'm still killing it perfectly fine. Sure, it's taking a little bit longer. But I'm missing legitimately. I'm right now on one pierce right now. I don't even have this blue upgraded. Imagine if I had this blue upgraded. It would make such a difference. Look at that, 800k just from that, from the Celtic staff. Like, I also got my one piercing because of my Foxy Quinn. I should kill it here, pretty sure. There you go. You see, just even just a little bit, just a little bit of like extra debuffs. Just that little itty bitty, like even one extra Foxy Coin. Just the fact that allowed me to hit 800k as a crit with a Celtic staff just shows how powerful debuffs are. It's amazing how much of a big difference. And this is why I think Celtic staff to the demolition staff is not that big of an increase. I have done the math multiple times for how big your Arcana is. This Link 9 right here by itself is so much more better, and it's so much better for the cost. It's just ultimately just so much better. And it's just really game changing. If you really want to spend and invest something that's really large on your Dark Diviner stuff, you should just get Link 9. I didn't even have an ego on. Look at that. I lost everything that the ego had for Brad and me. I didn't have any of my extra magic attack, none of my final crit damage, none of my extra casting too, by the way. I did this all with just a clean, brewed Celtic staff, and it allowed me to hit over 800k. That's all. It's just legitimately just a debuff game. And that's what really is needed, right? These debuffs on top of everything, like even having a Dark Divine, right, is really powerful. Now Trinity staff, yeah, I can do a Trinity staff, but it's basically everything that's in here right now. Ultimately, just goes to here of learning your rotation, just explosive lunge, to start debuffing afterwards, just keeping your saving mana on. It just really makes a difference, right? And I can show you guys a great example, right, of someone who just simply just does not care, right? And they just simply just use a Celtic Druid staff, right? And that's what they need to do. Mind you, this is floor 30. Rora is an amazing player that just showed off to a lot of people, that just really just earned so many people too. Because who needs gear and equipment when you have skills like this guy? There's no derobe. There's only elemental body. There's only changing it, right? This guy is only in DD, right? Just keep in mind of what equipment he has. He has no other piercings. He doesn't have any piercing at all. At most, he has 1k magic attack, almost 1.1k, to unlock the second piercing on his Celtic staff, right? Are you ready for this? It is so fantastic and changing everything of what happens to this boss. This boss cannot be properly debuffed unless you give it Fate Weaver, and you also need to Fantastic Chorus it. You have to Soul Link. You have to upkeep all your debuffs. This Bombs 30 boss, the Succubus Queen, has defied who is truly late game and who isn't late game. This boss completely was so RNG dependent, so wild factor on so many players, and it has made so many people cry and go to their knees. I don't think you understand how much this boss ultimately crushed people's like hopes and just by existing. It was basically the most ultimate chest, right? And this guy did it with just a Celtic staff. And that's what really, really, really makes a difference. It's just seeing someone take advantage of everything they have. You can see he has a Brackman, right? The explosion just went off. He's just right now just DPSing it with Thunderblight Explosion Launch, as you can see. He's just constantly having his debuffs on it, constantly upkeeping it, utilizing every single debuff. And there it goes. There's the Spiritual Awakening with also Brackman Explosion going off. Here comes the next part, smoke bombing it, debuffing it, and allowing your explosion launch, and then Meteor with Hydra, Fantastic Chorus going all off, and then it just happens. This guy had only 2 piercing, with a Celtic staff, with a Fire Mastery hat, with the Elemental body, with Magic Attack 100 gloves, and that's it. Rora is a great example of someone who utilizes all their debuffs and takes advantage of everything that goes on inside this file. And it's just beautiful. It is amazing, and it's what really makes a difference inside a gamer, inside this game, from being a mid game player to a late game player. It's what really makes a difference. I really didn't want it to go into too deep a depth about it. No, they didn't understand that at all. Keep in mind that bombs was created in the minds of Ruination and Demolition Weapon. No, he has it up. What do you mean, Drain? You mean Enrage? Or do you mean the actual debuff from an ego weapon? By the way, this guy only had like 2 minutes on the timer when he finishes this. Impressive though, right? No, yeah, Rowan just kind of pretty much just showed up to everybody. No, seriously. He beat the timer of like a lot of people. This is floor 30. The Succubus Queen has almost like 4.5 like 4.5 like million HP. Has like the highest defensive protection of anything. And it just ultimately like can go really RNG dependent on you. And I mean really RNG dependent on you. It can do meteor storms. It can ruin your kill if it does that more than 2 times. It can really drastically change the fight. Succubus Queen, this floor 30 thing was such a huge like issue. It's 2 5 donuts, I think 4.5 mil. I think both of them are like around like 500. No, I think they're are they around that much? I don't recall them being that low or that high. Sorry, and it's just a win here, easy. Kind of a bummer here, by the way. If you didn't notice this part right here, where his pet died, actually, it ice speared him. By the way, this part right here, his pet died and ice speared him. That's like the biggest L right there. He could have gotten it a lot faster if his pet didn't froze him here. By the way, that's the biggest L right there. If he had a Flourish Shield, by the way, it would have made so much of a big difference right there at that point. So there you go. Well, yeah, that's the biggest difference from being like from mid game to late game. I have talked about like let's just do a summary of everything that we have talked about. Right, you ready for this? We've talked about what you're going to be doing early to mid game, right? Which is basically you going for Link 9 instantly, right? DD is the most burst like rotation there is. It is the highest damage per minute. It is one of the most weirdest damage per seconds, to be honest with you. It is the highest damage per minute. It is the most burst like rotation there is on this class. Just keep that in mind. It is the most versatile. It is the most burst potential. Its movement is pretty shit. I will say that right now. Movement on Dark Diviner is pretty bad. I know a lot of people would be like, "Oh, just turn on spell walk and just go in circles, bro." Yeah, that's all you got, bro. Spell walk and move around, brother. Anyone can do that. It's like the most like basic 101 thing. But Dark Diviner has like the most like eh, the shittiest like movement in the world. EK has a wonderful movement. Oh man. But yeah, Dark Diviner doesn't have any movement. Its biggest like it is the most tankiest as well, which is like Chemical Stinger has. It actually has pretty decent movement. The main issue with it as of this moment is that it can really glitch out elves pretty harshly because if you have too much speed, it can really ruin an elf. Uh, don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing personally. I think it's more of a bad thing. So, it's kind of a preference than anything else, really. But yeah, if you really want to know the pros and cons, I'll just list everything down here. Pros, bursty, versatile, if I could spell it. You know what? Put in utility. Easy. That's pretty much all the pros that Dark Diviner has. Oh, and the most tankiest. Almost forgot. Tankiest. Mana Shield is just Mana Shield is just powered. The cons of DD. Expensive. No matter how you explain it. It's always gonna be expensive. Magic, there's just not enough magic attack enchants. So it's always gonna be expensive. Even the cheaper ones just don't give enough magic attack and just not worth the effort. I know some like Witch Witch, I don't know why, and I don't know why you guys do this. I have not a clue why Witch enchant is over like 10 mil when all it does is just at most 4 magic attack or the lowest 2 magic attack. That is insane. No, don't do that. That is stupid. That is borderline. Like, what the heck? Don't even. That is insane. They really need to release better ones or just help out with the character or even like give better options inside lower level content. That's insane. That is not okay. Expensive. Too expensive even. It's expensive. Weird downtime. It does have a weird downtime. It's not too weird because that's usually like your debuff timer. Um it's not odd to explain. It's really easy to explain. It's easy to use. It's a weird downtime between like fights because that's when your debuff phase happens. It's a little weird. Like no other thing does this. It's only DD that does this. I think the biggest con about DD as well is just no movement. And honestly, I think the other biggest downfall for DD is that uh you're pretty much like you pretty much are locked behind Prague. Like if you don't have Prague, you might as well just not be DD. Prague is so important for any Dark Diviner or Mage, and if you don't have that, then I don't know, bro. Uh, I guess debuff it. I guess I don't know, man. It's Prague is kind of big. I'm not gonna lie. It's not locked out, but like it's really nice to have. Okay, that's G25, right? You have to go all the way out there. You know, it's so far away. It's a long process. We talked about what you should be doing like early to mid game, you know, get your renown, especially the mana one. Like 900 extra mana is really important. I mean, super important. I mean, ooh wee, look at that mana. Delicious. That's why I have 4.4k mana right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's important. I'm just saying, that's basically your health pool right there. Techs are really good. Spirit weapons with dungeons are very important. Forget me pots and rebirths are always going to be important for your Arcana levels. Stardust should be like something you do passively. I shouldn't focus on it. Same thing with totems. Something passive, something not to really focus. That's why they're down there. I put egos down here because I want you to focus on your first ego, then really like multiple egos. I strongly recommend doing your first Fury ego, right, as your staff if you really want to focus on DD. I shouldn't put the small down here or the blue up here because they're not big of a difference. Like, come on, 190 magic attack at step 5 is ridiculous, by the way. That is a lot of magic attack by itself. And it is always going to be helpful, but yeah, these are pretty much like the biggest things that you should be doing, like early to mid, getting in, doing it. I did wanted to put Albin in here because Albin Shield of Trust is really useful, but I feel like that's more like a given thing than anything else. I feel like it's something that you should be learning and taking advantage of. Anything that you can take advantage of, right? And then next is just gear. All right. I still am on my word about not buying any of this stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the subject root staff honestly goes far away, like really far. I would strongly recommend just going for the Link 9, right? Before anything else. I'm gonna be really, really honest with you. I think the Link 9 is more important than any purchase at all. You can just honestly just stay in the bladed gear. You can just honestly forget everything about what's going on there. I think this right here is fine. This is okay. You can totally do this from mid to like mid and then early late game. I think early late game you would start to like after you get your Link 9, you would start focusing on the gloves. After you focus the gloves, you will focus on the Fire Mastery hats, specifically MA hat. You can get normal Fire Mastery hat. They're pretty cheap. They're like 10 mil. I think at most 20 mil. I think one with RO5 on them, they can get up to like around like 80 mil, like that. But I wouldn't recommend that though. Yeah, and I think Blade accessories are fine. They're okay. I think normal like magic accessories are really expensive for what they are. I got one Fire Mastery one on it. Perfect. See, that's better than 9. Well, I don't think. Look, I know demolition is a thing, right? Like demolition is a thing, and then there's ruin, right? We all know this. This is simple like 101 stuff, right? I don't need to tell you guys to be like, yeah, demolition is good. Go get it. The dirt. Don't do it. No. Just stick to yourself, Tick. Think about the demolition later on. Don't even like put it inside your list. Honestly, I will show you the things that you guys should really not care about. You're ready for this? Are you ready for things that you shouldn't really focus on whenever you're inside this mid game? Which I see happen too many times. Which I see happen way too many. Like, I see it happen way too many times. There's just too many times where I've seen people like focus on other stuff than really focusing on the main thing. And it just hurts me more to see you guys like focus on other junk than really like the main focus of what's going on. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I know I see it. Where is it? There you are. This is a bucket. They had a bucket. You know what I see a lot of people do whenever they get into DD? You know what the first purchase they do? It's always the same thing too. That's the worst part about it. It's always the first thing. You know what's the first purchase I see people do? They buy this junk. It's junk. It's good, but it's junk. I don't know why people purchase it first. They don't even have a demolition staff. They buy that first? Excuse me? Why would you buy that first? That doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Why would you buy that first? Polar Vortex, stop putting it inside your DPS rotation. Please, I beg of you. Stop putting it inside your normal rotation. It is not okay. It does damage. It should be more versatility. It's a utility thing, not DPS. Please stop using it for DPS. Another thing that I see a lot of mages do as well. Where they just say, I know you're in here. Don't hide from me. Where are you? Bro. You know what? These might as well just work. Speed shoes. I'm gonna be honest with you. Don't even bother them. I know a lot of people are like, but speed. Now, you have the worst movement. You might as well just accept it. If anything, just buy a wave swing. I don't know why you would spend over 80 mil on special elemental harmony boots. Brother, I don't know why anyone does. That's crazy to me. What are you guys doing? I'm sorry, what? Why would anyone want to spend this much? Why is people paying this much for this junk? What? This one isn't even reforged. It is 500 mil? You joking me? Bro? Don't get me started on the shoes. Who wants to purchase this, man? 68 mil? What? What? Bro? Huh? So even. I don't even like that's crazy to me that people are still trying to buy them. You know what else is a trap? These ones. Up. Those are traps. You know what else is a trap too? Where are you? I know you're here. There you are. You. I'm gonna be honest with you. All of this is not needed. Elemental body is really nice. Don't get me wrong. I really like elemental body. Like I will keep this outside. I will keep it like right there just because it is really good. You know what else is really good and it's cheaper and actually helps out with early game stuff. That's really nice to have and it does absorption as well. You can't deny this one's actually really nice, right? It's really nice. Uh-huh. I think Seraphic Body is pretty nice. It recovers your mana like crazy, like a whale buff, and it stacks on top of whale buff and Fantastic Chorus on top of it, and it gives you absorption, and it gives you 100 magic attack whenever it sets off. It's cuter. It's really nice. It's really good. I think it's a really recommended outfit, but I don't recommend them as first purchases. If anything, I'll put them as last purchase. You know? I don't recommend them being like first purchase items. You know. What else is a huge trap for a bunch of people that usually buy something? Demolition is fine. I think Perseus is a complete trap. You might as well put the staff in there. Wherever it is. There it is. Perseus staff is a. Oop, wait. Perseus staff is a trap. Too expensive. I think if Perseus staff was like maybe like 10 mil, right? Like the Perseus crossbow and that, it would make it worth it, right? If the Perseus staff costed like 10 mil, then I would recommend it. But as of this moment, just because of how expensive it is, it's just not good. Don't get me wrong, it looks nice. It does a decent amount, right? But it's just not good. Okay. For now. If the prices of Perseus like staff goes down with the Perseus wands, Perseus wand is good by the way. But Perseus staff, it's just not worth it right now. Unless this staff hits like around like 20 mil, I think that's legitimately the only time you will ever buy it if it's a 20 mil staff. But I think at that point, you should just keep saving up for like demolition or like gloves or even a fire mastery hat. So yeah. I think the wand is just good by itself to be frank. It's really good. Yeah, no, the wand is pretty good for what it is. I think the wand is perfectly fine for what it is because of fusion bolt reasons. I did said I would talk about fusion bolt about a bit and the other skills a little bit. It would just be little things. So these are like completely like the trap things I see a lot of people use a lot. I please don't buy speed boots. I beg of you. There's no like boot reforge for mages. I don't even have a pair. I legitimately use ultimate gears, bro. I don't know what to tell. I don't even have them reforged. Hell, I don't even have them enchanted. I don't have witch. I just have maddening. That's it. I don't know. There's really not much to put effort into the boots. I don't know why people are like, "Ooh, I gotta get the speed boots." Ah, yeah, speed boots. Like, bro, don't even bother with it. You don't even need speed boots in the late game as well. I'm not gonna lie. You have the worst movement in the game. You might as well accept it, bro. Just legitimately just that. That's all. You gotta do that. Just do that. Hell, just do this. I don't know why it's so hard. Man, don't make this harder on yourself. Just do that, man. There's no reason. You get the skills for free. Come on! Why do I want to spend 68 mil on a pair of boots? Come on, man. The hat. No, I'm serious. I'm gonna be on it. Hang on, let me mute the music. I'm gonna be serious with you about this hat. This hat was a like I have no clue why they even. There's absolutely no reason for that to exist. Like I'm gonna be real honest with you. This hat should have never ever existed. This thing is absolute trash, absolute awful. I have not a clue why they even like introduced it at all. Like, I have not a clue why. This is a DD lecture? Yes, it is. There's absolutely no reason for this hat to exist. There's legitimately cheaper hats that does exactly the same work with this. Plus, it doesn't stack with other magic attack enhancements, which is legitimately like, oh, thanks for the T3 sub. I really appreciate it. But no, this hat is completely trash. It doesn't work with books. It doesn't work with wings. I don't know what is the point of. Oh, that's another thing that I should have probably introduced. I almost forgot. Where are they? I know you're here. Where are you? There you are. They're okay. I think they should be like a last update thing, but they're kind of trappy. Oh, I know which ones to talk about. I know. Okay, hang on. I need to talk to you guys about these wings. Yep, that's what I forget to bring up. Hang on. Let me quickly bring them up. Also, by the way, all dual bags are pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. The dual bags are okay. They're pretty good. Oh man, hang on. Let me take a screenshot of these things because whatever. Just go to me. What's it called again? What did it download? Yeah, I hope it's not like a really big picture. Yeah, it's fine. These wings, right? These like, quote unquote 2% more extra damage and stuff of magic DPS and stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna be frank with you. These wings are not better than these wings. They're not even better than the 8 magic attack wings. They legitimately only provide the better, like, the only time these things are better is basically better than nothing. But you would need to hit at least. You're hearing me this right? You hear this? You ready for this? You need to at least hit. You ready for this? Huh? Oh, that's all. Can you hit 2,260 magic attack casually and have these wings? Brother, even if you have these wings with that amount of magic attack, that's legitimately the only time these wings are ever better. These things are absolutely trash and only used for if you don't have anything else. If you can pick them up for 1 mil, then pick them up for 1 mil. But I'm gonna be honest, people are not gonna be selling them for like 1 mil. It's crazy. I don't think you should even spend them. Honestly, don't even spend like even a bit of them. You know what? These things belong absolutely below the trash. I have not a clue why they even introduce these things. These things are the worst things and the biggest trap I have ever seen. And I have seen people in Discord say, oh my god, I sold one of these magic wings for 80 mil and they bought the other wing. And they know it's bad. This was the most awful gacha they have ever released when it came to mages, and it just tricked so many people. I am so mad at them. I'm not even mad at the people who scammed the people. I'm more mad at Nexon for even bringing these in, like at all. These things are just straight up awful. They're just really rude and just not healthy for the not even like on balance reasons or because they're just not healthy or anything like that. They're just unhealthy because they just don't make sense. They just don't provide enough. They just don't do anything enough for you. They're just really not worth it. Even for a fusion bolt, it's just not worth it. Because even Habana robes would deal more damage than this thing. And that's the main issue with these. This thing was honestly was just a huge, and they should honestly just release the wings, right? That's just droppable thing if they're gonna do. It was just a huge rub in the face and just mean to Akamako singers and DD players all alike because people didn't want her to do the math. People fell for it. The Akamako singer ones are really good for a Akamako singer, but this was not okay. This was just a huge rub in the face. And when I first saw it, I was like, is that even good? And I did the math, and other people did the math, and we all came into the conclusion that this 2,260 magic attack was not wrong. We did the math multiple times. We thought we did the math wrong multiple times. We even bought a pair of wings just to test it out, and we were right. This magic attack is not a joke. We have done the math multiple times, and these wings were just awful. And I wish they never brought them out. I think it was probably the most dick move they can ever do, and they're happy about it. Just really mean. But yeah, these are pretty much all like the trap items here. You know, the stupid hat, speed shoes. They're okay, but just please don't prioritize on them. They're okay. The gloves, I would talk about the ice bearding later on. It's okay. The staff, don't buy it until like maybe like 20 mil. Elemental body should not be your first purchase. Please don't make it your first purchase. I beg of you. Horrific should not be your first purchase either. It's cheaper, but please don't make it your first purchase. Wings are nice, but please don't make it your first purchase, and don't use Polar Vortex as your DPS. I beg of you. Only use it whenever you see like your Brachymium happening or Brachymium explosion. Just don't make any of these items be your first purchase as a DDer, okay? Don't even look at these. Like, look at them as like very, very last purchased items for a DDer. I beg of you, these items have been in the game for well over like legitimately like 2 years old. Like this thing has been here in the game for 2 years. This thing has been over an year. This thing has been in the game for almost 2 years. This has been barely almost a year now. Rosemary's have been in the game for almost legitimately 8 years. This hat is almost 2 years old. These boots have been in the game for almost 9, almost 10 years old. Polar Vortex has been in the game for almost 2 years. And these wings are just a mistake. Just think about it. Wait, is Vortex is in the trash? Yeah, Vortex is in the trash because I've been seeing too many people use it for like DPS. Stop using it for DPS. The utility base. Yeah, Tech the Win has been in the game for multiple years. Can't you believe it? It's been one full year since Glen Verna release. Yay! Glen Verna 1 year anniversary. Woo! But yet, we still have people still buying this stuff and kind of going off. So that was the gear discussion part. I'm gonna be honest, like I said, just ignore these and just focus on getting us Link 9 or even Link 10. Link 10 is okay. Link 9 is more important. Link 10 is more quality of life stuff. But once you get that, start focusing on the gloves. After the gloves, start focusing on the hat. After the hat, start focusing on the demolition weapon. I would strongly recommend after the hat, or even after the gloves, to be honest with you, is working on the demolition weapon. I really, really should not, like, you should really not focus on the body. You shouldn't really focus on boots. Hell, you shouldn't even focus on creepy, like, spooky, eerie, creepy, spooky, eerie's, whatever. You should not focus on those. They're too expensive. Enchants are too expensive. Enchants are just annoying. If you really want a body, just go for a heavy body, okay? Don't even bother with like going with like elemental or seraphic. Don't even go for like anything that's special, to be honest with you. Just go for with heavy armor or like RO body and RO boots. Honestly, even not even the ultimate versions. Just getting the RO body and boots are fine enough. You're still starting out the game. You should not be purchasing like really big price things yet. You know. You don't need them for Crom. You don't need them for Glen. You don't need them for Crom 100, and you don't need them for Glen 100. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Maddening with 2, 3 magic attack, perfectly fine. It's free. It's there. It's available. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. Only time I ever would recommend getting Elemental or anything like this is last purchase thing. These should not be your first purchase things. You would not see a big big increase in DPS. Sure, it's big, but it's not that big. You know what's bigger? Link 9 is bigger. Blue Upgrade is bigger. Your Renown will be bigger. You Rebirthing, your Text, your Stardust, stuff that are always constantly with you all the time will be bigger. Even your Eagle getting upgraded to 100 is so more beneficial than just buying something that's worth over 500 mil. You know what you can do with 500 mil? You can legitimately buy Stardust. You can legitimately pay someone to do totems for you. Like you leech off album. You can do that, by the way. People actually do services for it. You can buy step 6 and 7. That would be more of an increased DPS. Like, why the elemental body? Yeah, just doing Blinded. Blinded teaches you spirit egos in the beginning. Blinded also just helps you, nudges you into Dark Diviner or like a chemical state. Basically the first arcana. even spending money like gold on just purchasing this or even these, or even going out of your way for rebirth pods is so more beneficial than just buying equipment like this. It's just a trap for beginners and mid tier. If you really want to know how to make a difference from your mid game playing to your late game playing out there, right? Just learning your skills and really take advantage of your rotation and just start learning how your debuffs work. Debuffs are like the biggest difference when it came to anything and what can really drastically change from what mid game players are to late game players, to late game players to end game players. Out of curiosity, what brought this object? It's just me teaching once again. I haven't been teaching people about this game for a long while, and a lot of people really enjoy it, so I've been teaching it once again. And I thought, why not start with DD once again? What Echostones do you recommend? I recommend a blue Echostone with either lightning on it or plain instrument if you want to. I strongly recommend keep swapping them. A black Echostone with Hydra magic protection. And then I would strongly recommend either a combat one for strength reasons to increase your defense, or if you really want to, a will one, a silver Echostone to increase your magic protection. But if you feel like you're struggling a lot and you don't really need that much defense, you can run with a yellow Echostone. And with a yellow Echostone, you can totally just run it with Cater. Hitting duration Echostone is really nice to have as well, by the way. Really nice. Extra catering is really nice for caters. I haven't really talked about caters or touched them or really talked about them because these are pre-buffs. Mind you, pre-buffs and buffs and then after buffs are completely different things. I will talk about that stuff a lot later once we talk about early late game. Right now we're talking about mid game, early late game, and late game, and from there I will talk about late game to end game. Late game and late game and end game are completely two different things, and I will talk about them inside a different day because there is a lot more to take up inside late to early end game, and then early end game to ah early end game to end game are completely different things, and they're really. You think 500 mil is like really expensive, right? I'm gonna be honest with you. Have you ever spent over 2 bill just to get 1% increase of damage? Because you're looking at them. 500 mil is just a scratch at the surface, brother. I don't think you understand, man. 500 mil becomes like common like sense, common things. Look, you can understand. I have things that constantly like go up and keep going and keep going and keep going, and then you just see stuff like this, like what? Yeah. Man, it just happens. White 2 bill. Oh man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Are you ready for this? No, I shouldn't talk about it. It would be too much information. Never mind. I started thinking about it. I think it'd be too much. I would talk about it more inside the early end game and then end game. Because early end game and end game involves two sets for DD, which is basically your staff set and your wand set. It's a whole different rotation. There's a reason why you need both of them. There's an absolute reason why. Right now, my staff set is completely like the bottom of the bottom of right now, by the way. This elemental body is going to get replaced. These boots are going to get replaced. They're going to be swapped out to my fusion bolt. This is my fusion bolt set, if anything. Oh, man. You guys are not going to enjoy like early end game to end game. We're talking about almost like 3 bill worth of things, and then that's not even touching like the robe. Oh man, doggy no. Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that stuff. We're talking about early, mid to early, late game, and then late game. That's what we're talking about right now. We're not talking about that stuff. We will talk about that stuff later. We're learning how to get into mid game, into early, late to late game. Okay, so this is pretty much the summary of everything that's going on right now, right? Which is learning how to do debuffs such as Fate Weaver, which is really important, really powerful. Could be always be the first one to do, right? First one to do. Fate Weaver always. Second thing is Pragging. Third thing, Hydra. Fourth thing, Chorus. Fifth thing, Smoke Bomb. And then finally, leave it off with a Death Mark. With current content, with all that's necessary is unnecessary. Yeah, no. I'm trying to aim at you guys for the more casual player. By the way, everything that I've been talking about, like the super, like not even the like late game and like early end game and end game, are not really for you guys. It's just too much information and just too much like min maxing and too much on reports dependent and way too much of like cost efficiency. It is too much for what it's. I'm gonna be really frank with you. When I told you guys about this part right here when it came to equipment, I'm gonna be honest with you. You can completely ignore everything that goes on there. You can just run the game and do everything that I do right now with just this alone. That's it. Nothing else. You can do all you want inside the game and complete it. Glen hard mode, you can do it. Crom 100, you can do it with this. You can do it with all of this right now. You sure about that? Yes, I'm 100% sure about that. You just need to put some time and effort, just simply just getting up to 40k, right? That would take you approximately at least 2 months. In Link 9, this would take you approximately 15 weeks if you don't do any like normal rebirths. And then all this. It's not too hard. All of this will take you approximately 2 months just to get there. You really don't need any of this like extra stuff. All this extra stuff, right? It's just it just gives more damage. It's nice to have. It's more quality of life stuff, but you don't really need it. If you really want to play the game and just play with friends, right? And just having the knowledge and skill, you really don't need any of this other stuff. What you really need, right? Is just learn your skills, learn your basic rotation, learn your debuff rotation and your buff rotation. We will talk about the buff stuff later on because that stuff is kind of complicated. And what I mean by complicated, I'm talking about like pre-buffing, buffing, and then after buffing. I know that sounds really weird, but there is a reason for pre-buffing, there is a reason for buffing, and there's a reason for after buffing. There's there's just a lot of like talk about it, all right? But if you learn how to do this simple like learning how to debuff first, I will show like a full rotation of what my debuff rotation and damage is with this little dummy here soon, and explain this rotation right here. So let's over review it. Let's review this rotation real fast, all right? Always start off with your Mana to Dorka. Load up your Explosion Lunge. Hold it. Don't shoot it. Target something and start your Thunderblight. Once your Thunderblight is out, shoot out your Explosive Lunge. Swap to your staff and just start using Thunder or Fireball. If you really want to be fancy about it, swap to your Fusion Bolt set. We will talk about that later. And then use Mana to Dorka once again. And then Explosion Lunge. This is only possible on Link 9. I should tell you that right now. This is only possible on Link 9 because Link 9 provides the 2 extra seconds that is required for the second Explosive Lunge. This is pretty much all you need to do. And I will show you guys an example here right now. You ready for this? That's it. I forgot to Fate Weaver it, but I don't want to use up my Fate Weavers. Where's the Lightning Rod? I'll talk about this later because Lightning Rod, Blaze, and Meteor and all that will be completely different stuff. Those are different rotations. Okay. But you saw. I forgot to Fate Weaver it first. I feel like Lightning Rod is kind of underlies. I will explain why Lightning Rod is a little different. But yeah, Fate Weaver, GD. Chorus, Smoke Bomb, Hydra. All of it is really good. All of it can really make a difference. Having the pets as well. You saw me doing my, Smoke Bomb and Hydra. You saw how they had end lag on them. This end lag, this part right here. Watch this. If I throw smoke screen and I try to walk around, see that? That's called end lag. End lag will happen with Smoke Bomb and Hydras. Just keep that in mind. You will get hit. So get prepared. Just be prepared for that. That's why Mana Shield is really powerful. But that's the basics of like doing your rotation, doing your little debuff rotation as well. And even after I did all that, I still have Seeming Mana and all that. Keep going. So here's the thing. I didn't want to make this little section because this little section is about Lightning Rod, Blaze, and Meteor, and Ice Spear particularly. So here's the thing about Lightning Rod, Ice Spear, and all that, right? Let me just explain everything what goes on with Ice Spear and what it actually does. Oops. So we know Ice Spear could go to up to 1/5 charges, right? It can freeze mobs, but when frozen, they take 50% less damage from all sources. Now, keep in mind, Ice Spear mages are a thing. They are really powerful in one circumstance, and they're only good in Albin. That's all. They're only good in Heroic SS Albin with 500% damage or health, because they can keep bouncing damage. What I mean by bouncing damage is that whenever you make a party, right, and you change the party rules on it, and making the finisher rule to anybody in party, right? What you can do with Ice Spear, right? And what you do as well inside Nowhere to Run, right? Is that you can stick an Ice Spear on a raccoon or like anything in Albin Heroic. It will start to splash, right? Like that. The thing is, the biggest reason why Ice Spear Explosion is really powerful is that when those splash, it splashes on the thing that's finished roll. And it will explode once again and do a chain reaction. That's what makes Ice Spear really powerful. That's the only instance Ice Spear can be powerful. As you can see, it just set off 4 times the full charge of Ice Spear. That's right, 4 times. All close per mix. All 4 turn off within 4 close like distances. Exactly. That's why Berry Spike doesn't work. They don't want that kind of stuff to happen a lot. Here's the thing. Ice Spear has the biggest issue where the enemy, whenever the enemy is frozen, he will take less damage. See that? 532 damage. If I do a normal stack, oh, that was a crit, sorry. I do over 1k. That's legitimately half my damage. Here's the thing about it, right? It can drastically change how Ice Spear mages are. And I wish people knew this, but they don't do it. And it's actually something that the main reason why I don't really bring it up. I do strongly recommend if you really want to do this, you can. Just please stop using Hailstorm. If you want to be an Ice Mage and you want to do this, because here's the thing, right? When I put down the frozen part where I put like this right here, when frozen, this part, I'm gonna bold it by the way. Bam. Bam. Right? That part is really important. And I'll explain to it here right now. Oh, these guys can't get frozen. Well, they can, but... See that? You see how they're now frozen, though? Here's the thing. When they're not frozen like that, they still receive full damage. They receive all the damage while not being frozen. They can still move, but they still receive all damage. Fully. See how it just started splashing? Ooh. Oh, Ice Spear him, right? This bomb bat will just probably die. There we go. Well, you can see the splash already got in. See? Splash is great. So what you do is just hit it once. Do you see how my damage is 364 with the normal attack? Oh, that's a crit. Oop. Counter attacked me. Yeah. It just sits on this guy. So I'm just gonna hit this guy once, right? So 344, right? And if I Ice Spear him, it should go a lot lower, right? But it doesn't. And that's the beauty about Ice Spear. Ice Spear doesn't deal less damage if the enemy is not frozen, and that's what makes it really powerful. That's why I think the freezing part about Ice Spear should honestly be removed. I don't like the fact that you can freeze things. I'm gonna be honest. I think freeze things is kind of a uninteractive thing. And I wish people didn't really make it like the biggest thing, to be honest with you. Like, I get it. I get it, right? Ice Spear is really cool. It freezes things. You know, that's really awesome and stuff. But, like, why do I want it to be frozen? Why do I want it to take less damage? You know? Why do I want it to not interact with me? As a player inside an MMO game, right? Why do I want to freeze something with me with other party members and have the option to use other weapon skills, guns, fists, swords, chains, bow, even puppetry, right? Why should anyone get punished because the thing is frozen, taking 50% damage less from all sources? That's not cool. If anything, that's just a throw, right? That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't even help you as well when you're solo playing. Why do you want something to take 50% less damage from all sources, including yourself, and just keep it frozen, unable to attack it, by the way? Well, you can attack it, but you know, why even? So there's really no point of this thing at all. It's doesn't do much. It doesn't help out with your team. It's nice to have. It's great in heroic because everything is already bunched up. But that's really the only place I can think of that's really good. Everything else is pretty spread out. You would need to get the reforge of Ice Spear Explosion. Ice Spear doesn't deal a lot of damage already, so it's just not good for what. It's nice to have. Don't get me wrong, but thing is, as an Ice Mage, your teammates have to play with you. They have to play around you. You're basically the selfish Ice Mage, and that's all you are. And that's why Ice Spear, Hailstorm aren't really exactly the most fun to play around with. Hailstorm has like this knockback, force knockback, by the way, whenever you attack something and no one else can attack it for approximately seconds. And that's not fun for anybody. That's lame. That's not good. If anything, if you're Hailstorming or Ice Spearing, you're kind of just throwing your team and your team has to play around you. And if your team is not familiar playing around with you, then I don't know. Get good, I guess. I'm sorry. That sounded like a really sad note for like Ice Spear players. Like, man, you guys are fine and stuff. You're easy to play around with. It's just, you know, think about it from other people's side. You know, it kind of sucks that you have like a chemical stinger with you and then you Ice Spear something and they can't kill the thing because it's, you know, Ice Spear that has 50% less damage. Yeah, I use Ice Spear only in like Nowhere to Run. That's pretty much the only play. It's like Windmill Spammer? Yeah, pretty much. It's just kind of hard to play around with you, that's all. All right. So next one. Blaze. Oh boy. Blaze. Blaze. All right, Lightning Rod. Let's talk about Lightning Rod. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, hang on. Let me just talk about Blaze for a bit. I'll be honest with you guys about it and what's so what makes it really advanced tech and get really what really makes like Blaze so strong, really good, okay? So here's the thing, right? Hang on, let me mute the music. Blaze is actually really powerful. Blaze is actually really scary and very powerful with the right set effects and stuff, right? It's really good. It's actually really, really good. However, setting it up is really mechanic intensive. You want to fight? You know who I'm talking to. You know who I am. You know where I am right now. We can fight right now. Wait, no, we can't fight right now. We can fight later. Never mind. Sure. But here's the thing. Blaze is really powerful. Blaze can kill a lot. Blaze is really powerful. Blaze, well, Polar Vortex, right? Here's the thing, right? I will show you guys what Blaze description is. Ready for this? Blaze has all of this, right? Like, it does not take away any of your durability off your wand and staff, which is pretty cool. That's really big, right? Blaze also apparently is more stronger with wands, but that's not true. They changed this. Blaze is no longer like stronger with wands. You don't need to use a combat wand anymore. It says here that the damage is calculated right with, you know, a wand modifier. It's not needed anymore. Combat wands don't need this anymore. You can now use your rune staff. They changed this. They updated this. This information here, like where it does like 35% less damage, right, from using a staff or something like that, that's not true anymore. They completely changed that. I don't know why the wiki hasn't changed it yet, but it is better to use it with a rune staff or a demolition staff. Okay? You don't need to do that. Since the release of DD, you don't need to do that. They updated Blaze. I don't know why they still have it in here that you can't use a staff, right? That the damage reduction is in here for staffs. I don't know why they still have that and why they have the combat ones multipliers still higher. That's not true anymore. It's not true. You can definitely use this. Here's the thing. Blaze does receive the benefits from Support Shot and Rage Impact. I'm going to tell you right now, the only way you can Blaze anything, and I will show you guys how to do it. It's really intense and really heavy mechanic. Like, I mean, super, super annoying. It is really advanced tech, okay? Keep in mind, I don't have any of the Blaze accessories or like Blaze gloves or anything like that, okay? And we're going to be using the turtle once again because turtle likes to be a dummy, okay? Here's the thing. First step of Blaze, you have to have the knockdown gauge at the max. Polar Vortex allows the knockdown gauge to be the max all the time. We gotta make the turtle stand still for this, right? Right, so oops, I don't want to do that. So this is turtle being standing still, right? We allow Polar Vortex, we allow Rage Impact, we do this, and then we blaze it. If I don't have blaze, come on. Alright. No! Whatever. But you get the gist of it. It's Polar Vortex, Rage Impact, Support Shot, then blaze it. That's it. That's all. It takes a lot of like load up time and stuff. I didn't have blaze saved. Go away. Leave me alone. But it is a lot of setup time. You can do this as well with melee combat weapons where you can windmill stuff and they can stand still. Let's do on this werewolf right here. Let's quickly just put blaze just so I can show you. So if you just simply just windmill the thing, right? This knockdown gauge. Okay. There's knockdown gauge on it, right? That's right there on top of it. You see that knockdown gauge right there? Yeah, if that's filled, right? Bro, why do I deal so much damage? Ah! So here you go. This is like the most simplified one that you can do. That's it. You see 132k, just like that. That's simple. It wasn't even fully charged. It's just that easy. That's how good Blaze is. Blaze is so powerful. It is absolutely crazy. It's just really, really, really hard to pull it off, okay? It is really hard. I strongly recommend not doing it. It is such a huge technique. It's it's unrecommended, okay? It's fun to do, don't get me wrong. Yeah, you can Ice Spirit inside a magic attack and hit. Yeah, it's a dopamine thing. It's hard to set up, okay? It's strong. It can hit up to about like 2 mil. You know, it's really strong. It can hit casually 2 mils with just like normal attacks. It is not crit dependent at all. It can deal a lot of damage by itself. That's how good it is. All right, Lightning Rod. So what I mean by NLAG sucks, but it's a good DPS. There is an Echo Stone for this, for specifically Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod also has the biggest buffs in the world, and I mean that. I mean really huge. So here's the thing. Where is it? Oh, not that. Yeah, it's the same one as Lightning Attunement. It's just Lightning Attunement knocks down quite differently. Lightning Attunement stops from the thing from getting hit, but only with normal attacks. It doesn't affect anything with skill attacks. A good example is Final Hits with Lightning Elemental Attunement. A Final Hit can hit up to 15 times before pushing something with dual wielding. However, Lightning Effect, you would think it will help that, it does not. You can also test this out with two-handed swords. Two-handed swords will Final Hit will hit up to 6 times before something gets heavy pinged and knocked back. With Lightning Attunement, it did not. So Lightning Attunement doesn't really help out with skills, but it does help out with normal attacks. So Windmill doesn't help it. So Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod gets the biggest buffs out of everything. Lightning Rod Echo Stone gives a fully charged damage up to 30% at level 20. The Glyph does 40% at fully charged with Lightning Rod. And let me just say, Lightning Rod, when it's fully charged, is 500% plus 40% plus 30%. Is over 570% by itself. And that's without the charge maximum bonus. The charge maximum bonus is 230%. And this does stack on top of it, by the way. So that 70% on top of it brings us up to 300%. This means this can have over 870% of lightning charge damage at max charge. It is insane. It is powerful on top of reforges and magic attack, all of it. It is insane how powerful Lightning Rod is. However, the biggest downfall of Lightning Rod, and this is why I tell people not to pick up Lightning Rod cooldown right, is because of this end lag right here. You ready for this? Oh, can't move. Oh, now I can move. That end lag at the very end is what really makes it so detrimental. It stops you. Erg 50 makes Lightning Rod so powerful. Echo Stone makes it really powerful, and the Glyph makes it so powerful to stop. It is so strong with Thunderblight on top of it. But it's just this end lag at the very end that's similar to Smokescreen, similar to like Hydra, that just makes it really bad. It's really powerful, don't get me wrong. It is really powerful. It gets groups of things really great. As well as single DPS, it's really great. I strongly recommend it. If you really want to, you can put it inside your DPS rotation, like in here. Just don't do it before you're going to do explosive launch. Just keep in mind that end lag is 1 second. So if you want to, you can do it before it. Thing is, lightning rod's like damage can actually be compared to like thunder escaping, so just keep that in mind. You will need to do a full Belton set if you ever want that. It's just really hard. It's a really good burst. It's just really that end lag really. These are like the big three ones I wanted to talk about. And then there's Meteor. I'm gonna be honest with you. Meteor is really powerful, but I'm gonna be honest with you. There isn't really much to talk about Meteor. Here's the thing about Meteor, right? And there's a reason why it's the biggest one. There's nothing to do with it. You just meteor. That's all. There's nothing special you can do with it. I should tell people the myths that a lot of people have told me about meteor. By the way, BFO does not affect it. Support shot does not affect it. Rage impact does not affect it. Your glyph does not affect it. It does affect the flame damage. It does not affect the impact explosion. Yes, this can go through range heavy defense. Yes, this can go through magic heavy defense. Yes, this can go to melee heavy defense. No, it cannot deal damage to things that are defaultly not immune. Yes, it can go through damage that are. Yes, the damage multiplier on it is actually non-applicable. What I mean by that is that it is a non-elemental damage or non-physical damage. It is a typeless damage. There is a big difference. Big difference. Typeless damage can overcome a lot of damages. There's one particular instance where it doesn't, and it is the only one, and it is a Shadow Realm challenge. It's not Shadow Realm Challenger, it is a Shadow Realm. It's the guy with the one that you have to use Rusty Swords to knock down his mana defense and mana protection and protection and defense. That guy actually has a defaultly percentage reduction on him. Percentage reduction does apply to some bosses, especially that guy. He is the best example. That is percentage reduction. It's not because he has high defense protection or magic defense or magic protection. He just has a percentage damage neglection. The things that go bypass it are Hydra, Life Drain, Discord, Poison, all that stuff. But it does affect Meteor. So keep that in mind. Meteor will ignore this as well. It's really big. There's nothing special you need to do for Meteor. You could Thunderblight something and then cast Meteor on it to give it more damage overall. But that's all it is. Fire Mastery does affect it, by the way. That's why I recommend a Fire Mastery hat over anything else. It's a big rock. What else you suspect? It's really good. It's the biggest one out of all of them. The biggest DPSers out of these four. All right. Lightning Rod is great. Blaze is a really advanced tech, really strong, but it is doable. It is super fantastic to use like Chrom. I don't think you understand having a Blaze set up for Chrom. It's so disgusting. It is, oh man. Polar Vortex? Fuck it. Blaze it. Have a puppeteer in your party with a blazer? Oh, it is a godsend. You want 10-minute runs? Oh, woo. That's what 10-minute runs are at 100%, brother. Oh, it is beautiful. Lightning Rod builders are excellent at Chrom as well with Ursun. Ursun with Lightning Rod build is, beautiful. Glenburna, beautiful. It is awesome. Meteor, oh man. I can't explain how good Meteor is. Ice Spear, I'm gonna be honest, you're only good at Albin and you're going to stay in Albin. That's where you belong. Now stay there. That's all you're good for. You stay in Albin and you stay in Albin. You only have 3 days to do your Albin. You might as well just stay in Albin. Fuck you. But yeah, that's all we got, really. Sorry that there wasn't really too much for Ice Spear or Hailstorm. It's kind of the same story with Ice Spear. Ice Spear is just generally just sticking around with Hailstorm. I'm sorry, Hailstorm's force end lag, the the splash hit. Hang on, let me explain to you guys what I'm talking about. This thing right here, don't ignore the load up time. That's because I don't have to eat it. Even on my normal staff, by the way. This thing right here, this end lag right here, this pushback that it does. Yeah, nothing can attack it when that happens. You know what other thing that does that too? You know what other skill does that? Yeah, same thing. Same exact thing. See that? You see how I can't attack him immediately? It takes a little while. Yeah, Golem does the same. That's the same one as Hailstorm. I'm sorry to say. Look, if it can't get knocked down, then it's fine. It's okay. It's just whenever it's inside the stage of being knocked down, you just can't hit it or do anything to it at all. and it kind of sucks. You know, it's just not fun with other players. Hailstorm is fun whenever you're soloing or something that can't get knocked back, just like Golem. Golem is just extra DPS if it's not knocking back something. That's why I summon Golem whenever I'm doing bosses, because it doesn't get knocked back. You know, it's just, you know, extra DPS. It's damage. But if you're gonna Hailstorm stuff and you love Hailstorm, then go ahead. You can have fun with it. Just understand that your other teammates will try to shoot the same thing, and if it's knocked down for a solid second, just know that's on you. You know, it's purely on you. Just know that, you know, just back in your mind, you're like, yes, my Hailstorm is really good and it can kill stuff. But if I can't kill the thing and it's knocked back and something else tries to attack it, just know that's on you. All right. That's pretty much like the entire thing that I have here for our DD when it comes to early to mid to late game. You basically, let's just like do summaries of like what's going on, the pros and cons. The pros of being bursty, utility, easy to learn. It's the tankiest. Easy getting deep fried. What? What about now? Is it okay now? I don't want the music to be deep fried. Might be because of uh. bu- 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 Well, well. All right. How about now? Eh, eh. Yeah, perfect. All right, so pros of DD. Bursty, utility wise, easy to learn. The tankiest out of all the arcanas compared to every other one. Cons is that it's really expensive. Really, really expensive. Weird downtimes at times, no movement at all. Locked behind Prague, I would say it's like behind Prague for like late game stuff. Inside mid game stuff, it's not that big of a deal, but like later on, it definitely gets locked behind if no one else in your team has Prague as well. Keep that in mind. I strongly recommend finishing Blinded. Have DD with it as well. DD isn't as expensive as a Chemical Stinger and gets more damage early. Nah, I would honestly argue that it's more expensive than DD. I mean, DD is more expensive than a Chemical Stinger because of two specific things, actually. And it's mostly with Echo Stones and because of one other big thing, and it's not an enchant, by the way. It's actually purely because of what's going on with Glenburna later on inside the later game. But we will talk about the end game stuff later on. And it's purely because of, I would just say one word, Fusion Bolt reasons. I recommend getting text as finished as fast as possible for pretty much all of them. Besides shield. Shield's not just useful. I will go into depth into this stuff once we get into the late game, entering in early in game, because you will start to learn more about this stuff later on. Always remember to use your forgetful potions from the dungeon guide. Those are 1 day ones, and then rebirth as much as possible. Do your dungeons for spirits. Do them for like any cash, like BMEs and stuff to sell. Really easy stuff to learn, as well a bunch of smolderings. Get your renown. That extra 900 mana is so good. Just reroll for the 900, brother. I don't care what you were doing. Just do it. It's really nice, really noticeable. Get your smolderings, frost raids. Buy them if you need to, bro. You really need those links. Blue upgrade that bad boy. Stardust, do it passively. Totems, passively. Spare egos. You should do it kind of semi-focus and passively. I will focus kind of back and forth on this. Try to get it to at least level 63 as soon as possible and do the quest, and then from there start doing it passively. Try to get it as 100 as well as soon as possible. I know that sounds really weird to get like 63 as soon as possible and 100 as soon as possible, because this will be your main weapon. This is your main damage dealer, so you want it to be more powerful. Equipment, whenever you start out the game, just go to whatever the Dieter mission is called. Uh, what's his name? Yeah, the Chronicles. Do Chronicles as soon as possible. Getting that first like Celtic weapon is important. Really nice, really doable. I strongly recommend getting it. They're pre-rank 1, get magic attack on it. Really nice. Journeyman reforges, you know. And then get your Link 9 first before any purchases, please. Anything else before anything else. Get your Link 9, okay? Purchasing any of the like fire hat stuff, I would recommend afterwards. Even the gloves, I would recommend afterwards. If you really want a list of things to buy first, I would recommend getting the gloves first and then the hat afterwards, and then your demolition staff afterwards. That's right. There's no body or shoes or even accessory changes. You're going to stick with this armor for a long period of time. And if you feel like you need more defensive protection, you can upgrade getting RO like normal version. You don't need to get the ultimate version. You can honestly just run with the normal version for the longest time and then upgrade to the ultimate version later on. You don't need to focus on enchants right now. You really don't. And if you really need that smidge of extra magic attack because you're at link 9 and you want your saving mana to deal more damage, then I would spec spiritual and dreamlike. That's right, you heard me. Spiritual, dreamlike. They're both really cheap enchants, really healthy enchants too. Spiritual is legitimately like 300k. It gives you legitimately 8 magic attack amount or magic attack. You can honestly explode them. And Dreamlike is legitimately for free from the dungeon guide as well. You can buy them pretty cheaply as well for 140k. And this one actually gives you a lot more magic attack. They give you 8 to 16. That's legitimately 20 level 20 magic attack just right there. Hands down, really helpful. Really friendly. I forgot what the one for the hat was. It's like I don't remember what it's called, but it is a recommended one, but it's not that big of a yeah, it's guaranteed one. Uh Apophatic, there we go. This one's 3 to 5 magic attack too. This one's cheap. It's completely free as well. Really nice. Really easy. You know, don't focus on enchants that much at all, to be honest with you. Enchants should be like some of the last things you should be upgrading. You should focus on first getting these really big ones, which is your staff, getting blue upgraded, reforge it with Journeyman reforges for that 15 magic attack. Next is the gloves, biggest upgrade as well. Really nice, really good. And then next your hat, and then enchants afterwards. Enchants should be like the last bit out of this entire set, all right? But before any of that, Link 9, okay? Before any of that. Anywhere in your gameplay, anywhere, even if you're playing right now and you see you're not Link 9, focus on that. Drop everything else. You're making a demolition weapon? Drop it. Go to Link 9. You want that demolition weapon? Afterwards, bro. Do it after Link 9. Do it after Link. Please. It will save you so much time. It will save you the stress. It will allow you to do this rotation. It is so nice. That 2 extra seconds is such a huge damage increase to your burst rotation. Start learning your skills. Start taking advantage of Vortex. Start taking advantage of like this Hex thing, whatever it does half the time. I'm joking with you. Hex is okay. It does its job. It does its job fine. That's all it does. It's okay. Please, whatever you do not, and I beg of you, do not use Polar Vortex for DPS. Use it as a versatile thing. Please, for the love of God. The only time I should ever see this as a DPS thing is before 98%, like on your Brachyma right there. If you see your Brachyma at 98%, right, and you see that you're down to like 6, right, just swap to your wand and put down a Polar Vortex. And that's it. It costs 4 whenever you use it. Just swap to the wand. And then whenever, Brachyma happens, just place down another one if you want to, or just do your rotation again. Just please stop using that as DPS rotation. It's not good as a DPSer. Always have Seeming Mana on, no matter what. I just absolutely love Seeming Mana. It's just too overpowered. Explosion Lunge with Thunderblight. Remember that. Puts on Ice Hat. You don't control me. Get that thing out of here. No Ice Hats. Explosion Lunge. Load it up. Hold it. Don't shoot it. Just hold on to it. Cast Thunderblight. And then shoot out your Explosive Lunge to the targeted Thunderblight. Remember, I tell you guys how to use your Thunderblight. It's really easy. Keep in mind that anything you target, right? Go, 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 Corey, go! Ice Whip doesn't do anything to Polar Vortex, but It's purely iceberg explosion. Keep in mind the little tab that happens, this little circle, right? Not your cursor, this little tab that you have right now. You see how my cursor is moving when I press tab? That's where your Thunderblight is gonna be. Keep that in mind. So if you're gonna Thunderblight, you better target at the thing. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you see the target, better aim at it. Better aim your explosion launch to it. Don't just randomly throw your silly shuttle flare to things. Keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Take advantage of it. Take the most advantage of your Thunderblight. Don't just silly willy throw it around. Don't just be like this random dude who just, starts it, right? Does this, right? Does this, and then just starts like, what is that? What is that? What did you do? You know how much damage you just lost, right? This is a snapcast. Look how much dork I don't have now. Look, my Thunderblight's still on. I used one Thunderblight in my explosion launch. You know how much damage I just lost? You know how much actual damage you just lost by doing that? You know how much that is? We just lost 30% of extra damage purely for doing that, by the way. Just not doing it. You just lost the game. Congratulations. You don't know how to play DD. Yeah, do this. Have fun with it. Remember to do your debuffs. Always Fate Weaver first. Number one priority. Fate Weaver 1. Okay? Fate Weaver's number 1. Frag is number 2 in the priority list. Number 3 is Fantastic Chorus. Number 4 is Hydra. Number 5 is Smokescreen. Any pets can be used in between all these debuffs. And then finally, when your rotation is going off, use a Whale and Foxy Quinn. That's it. It should be number 1, number 2. Actually, scratch number 3. Number 3 is Death Mark. Sorry. We should probably number these. Why does proper rotation matter? Get out of here. Alright, what you doing? Put up top. Top. There we go. Oh, Serenbean, welcome to being one of the Chin Champion families, where all the Chinchompas can bounce, hop around, and dance. Sometimes explode, actually. Careful. These two I could put as 4. Actually, no, I'm not going to put those as 4. I'm going to put Fantastic Chorus, because Fantastic Chorus is just... And then these two would be 5. And then lastly will be the Glyph, because Glyph can just honestly be the last thing, because it is a flat 10. It's nice to have, that's all. But yeah, always number 1, Fate, Fragget, Death Mark after, Chorus, Smoke Hydra, and then Glyph it down. And if you really want more damage, you can just use your sight. Mind you, these are not putting in the pets. You can put the pets between, like after 1 and 2. Don't do it before 1 and 2 because this will nerf your Fate Weaver drastically. And there's some bosses that don't recognize them getting, debuffed, such as Glenburna or Succubus Queen and Fawn starting. Glenburna hard mode completely ignores these two until it's faded. Legitimately the only time you can ever do that to them. She is one of the bosses that does that, so just be careful with it. Unified Might is kind of a questionable thing. I think it's more of an old thing than really a player thing. It's nice to have, but if you want to be more supportive, that is one way. But it'd be something to talk about like later down the road, whenever I start talking about text. Phantasmal Sight doesn't work on everything. Keep in mind, it doesn't work in everything inside Glenburna. It does work on everything in Crom, so this is 3 additional damage to everything that's inside the ring. So keep that in mind. Really nice. Works in Glenburna bosses, works in Crom bosses. Really nice to have. Foxy Quinn is just... Foxy Quinn is faster. Keep that in mind. It is 5%. The will is slower. Keep that in mind. So you will always well and then Foxy Quinn. But they do make a difference. This 15% increase in damage is a huge difference. It's noticeable. It's really nice. And then trap items, do not purchase these items for the first time. Please don't focus on these as first purchase things. I beg of you. These should be last focus things. Should I keep a 2020 Flame Burst attack range glove? It's kind of a really a large quality of life glove. It's really nice. I think the only time you ever will use it though is like at Crom if you're flame bursting. But I don't know much people who do that as much of these days, like even Paragging as a Dark Mage. Usually you just thunder spam it nowadays. Trying to make DEM gloves. They're more quality of life than anything else. It's quite noticeable, nice range. You go from an example from her, you go from this close to being this close. It's a nice quality of life thing. It's not that big of it. I would argue it's really nice if you're doing text and your main like skill is alchemy, right? If your main skill talent is alchemy, then it's nice. But I think the only time I ever see the big difference for it is with lightning salamanders and with prom mobs, and that's really it. That's all really. But yeah, don't purchase any of this stuff as your first beginner like purchase items. If you already have them, you already have them. You might as well stick to them. They're nice to have, unless it's any of these items in here right now. Anything outside of the bucket is nice to have. Really recommended to have. They're like last purchase items. Don't buy the hat. If you're gonna buy the gloves, be an ice mage. You know, fully commit to it, bro. And if you're gonna make a Percy staff, just make it just for like style points, bro. That's all it is. It's just style points. Speed, like speed boots are okay. They're just really awful. You know, they're okay. They're just not really the most helpful when it comes to a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong. 15% speed from special elemental is really nice, but it's just not going to make the game difference from you being on one place to another. Especially when you could just simply just do this if you really just keep that in mind. It's nice to have. It's nice to like go around something like an example of this is the boss. You want to rotate over here without using any resources, and you just keep spamming thunder or fireball. That's really the only nice thing about the boots. Or you could just be me and just eh. What should I run? Astral, Bulwark, or Reaper? Neither. Astral is kind of a different thing that I would definitely talk about. Like it is a completely different thing. I did wanted to bring out Astral inside this as more of a late to early end game because Astral is played differently. I finally have a Korean account again to play around with it and test it around. I'm gonna be honest, Astral is more of a harmonic saint skill than anything else. I will explain about that stuff later on. We're doing a summary right now, sorry. And then, Meteor Go Boom, Advanced Tech, Blaze. Lightning Rod is good in groups. Arguably, it's a good burst damage dealer. When it crits, it crits. When it doesn't crit, it's bah. Ice Spear and Hailstorm. Just remember your teammates. Remember your teammates and how you play with them. All right, try to play around with your teammates. Be like the Blaze guy. Be the Blaze player. Play with your teammates. Be the advantage. Don't be the disadvantage. You know, don't be the disadvantage. That's my say about like Ice Spear, Hailstorm versus Blaze. Don't be a disadvantage for your team. Be the advantage that people want. Be the big guy. Be the Chad. Be the dude that does 2 mil damage with your Ruination Staff with Blaze. Or just be the guy with Lightning Rod, Or be the big dude with Meteor. Ah! Ow. Dracula is so top damage, I see. Get out of here. But yeah, that's pretty much a summary of all what DD is. I hope I explained most of it, like what rotation is and what the advantages of it. I didn't really went into depth when it came to reforges. Keep in mind, I will talk about reforges and all that once I talk about like mid talk about like entering in like late game to entering in end game, because reforges aren't not that important right now for a DD player. Like fire reforge on a hat is nice and all, but you don't really need it. Magic attack on your staff is nice and all, but you really don't need it as well. The gloves with magic attack is really nice. It's kind of needed. But, you know, these are like small like reforges that you can legitimately just buy with spare cash and stuff. You know, it's not that big of. If you really want to know more about like reforges and stuff, I'll talk about that stuff like later on once we get into the late game entering in and like entering in early end game. But then once we get there, I'll be talking about more about like combinations with other skills, like I did with the debuffs. You can see we have alchemy, we have ninja, we have fantastic chorus, from bard. We also have other things that come out and shine as well, which I haven't even explained at all. I haven't even talked about like all the stuff from like what ego really provides, like for here where it grants like 10% more extra damage whenever it's debuffed or bleeding. This can be honestly set off by uppercutting a thing. You know, it's a lot more stuff, but that stuff is like min-maxing stuff. And I would like to talk about that stuff like later on. Right now, I just want you guys to learn from what early game to mid game and late game will look like. And then once we start talking about late to early end game, that'll be more about that min-maxing stuff. And then finally, we will talk about early late game to late, like early end game to end game, like end game, because all of that is a lot of stuff to learn. Oh man. Yeah, it will be inside a different class. Right now, I'm just talking about early to mid to late. There's a difference from each one, all right? So early to mid is this one to late. There's now going to be late to early end game. Big difference. There's a big difference from both of them. Keep that in mind. And then finally, early end game to end game. There's a big difference from each one. And I would talk about each one later on. Right now we're just talking about the early game to mid game to late game, as these ones are more like of your own promises, like your own self, like your own self of like improvements, right? Like tech will always improve anywhere else than just DD itself. Renown will always improve everything else than just DD. Doing a bunch of dungeons for money and smolderings and all that is a self improvement on everything else, including DD. These are just like the stepping stones, right? These are like the building blocks of how to make DD really strong. And then finally, we get into the DD itself. What really makes it really more powerful, right? What makes it give it the oomph, you know, the big burst of damage, right? Which is basically Link 9. That's the biggest like investment you're going to do as a beginner or mid-tier DD player. This is the biggest investment you can do for yourself is getting that Link 9. It is the biggest one. It would cost around like 90 mil just to drop if you buy Smolderings and Frost Rates, and it costs 50 mil alone just to do the upgrade. So just keep that in mind. This will be your biggest one. And then after all this, right, you finally get gloves, you get your hats, and that's fine. That's all you really need. It's just the gloves and hat with fire mastery. You're all set to sail. You're ready to go. You can start doing Crom 100s. You can start doing like Len hard mode. You just need to start practicing. You just need to start learning your own skills, understand your rotation, and just simply learn your debuffs. This won't connect to everybody. Keep that in mind. People in team play will start putting people in like roles. You have a fader, do you have a pragger? Does someone want to be a fantastic chorus? Does anyone want a death mark? It's just talking to your teammates, you know? Not everybody needs to put like a bone and mirror or like cat or like mirror. Not everyone needs to put up a whale or foxyquin. Someone else can. Someone else can take advantage of multiple glyphs, you know? It takes practice, it takes time, and it takes teamwork and effort. That's all you really need. That's why I gotta just tell you guys right now that when I told people that my elf finally hit 1 years old last month. My elf is only 1 years old. When I did Glen hard mode for the first time, I was only 30k total level. I need you guys to understand that your gear should not be what really draws you back. Your equipment does not define you as a player. What really defines you as a player is who you are and your own skill ability and what you specialize. That's what makes a difference. That's what really makes a difference of what an early game, a mid game, and late game play. You could totally do anything in this game with just bland gear. You don't need me to explain this. Heck, you don't even need me to tell you about this rotation, honestly. You can honestly just do it if you really want to. But if you really want to make a difference and you really want to see a big damage difference, and if you really want to just like do stuff yourself, right? Just don't do it, you know? But if you really want to, you want to see this big number, right? Then this is pretty much the way you can do it. And that's what really can change a lot for you. But just understand that everyone plays this game differently. And I'm just explaining just our early building breaks of this PD. Thanks for everyone for coming. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. We're going to be talking about a Chemical Stinger. Yeah, the early to mid and the late game for a Chemical Stinger. It's completely different. Woo! Yeah! I'm doing a lot of math for this shit, by the way. My brain hurts. I haven't streamed for the past 3 days because I've been doing constantly math. You guys want to see notes about all that shit? I bet you guys don't want to. Because, oh boy, once we're past Arcana, I hope you're ready because the next thing I'm going to be talking about on maybe Wednesday is puppetry. Oh man, this skill completely destroyed my mentality. I've been awake since 4 a.m., by the way. I am tired out of the wazoo. Please help me. Ah! Oh man. Ah! Alright, so. Ah! We're finally on a more fun part. You ready, guys? We're selecting who we're going to raid. Who do you guys want to raid? We can raid this guy, that guy. This guy's doing Glen Murder hard mode. I don't know what this guy's doing. We can raid to the people who I'm following, like I don't know. Oh, he's doing Elder Ring. Do you guys want to watch him? Or do you guys want to watch OC? Whoa. What the? That's a hey, don't look at that. That's hey, no, hey. We can raid any of those guys. Raid Doggy Bleed too. What do you guys want to raid? Do you guys want to raid Ben Monkey? He's doing Elden Ring stuff. You want to raid him? ignore that. You know. You guys want to raid Foxshine? She plays Mama Nigi. She's playing Osu right now. You know. You guys like Osu? You guys like to hit the circles and stuff? Not a lot of people streaming Mama Nigi right now. So, what are you guys feeling, huh? Also, I should probably get the gacha. What do you guys think? Should I open the gacha? I know right now there's a music buff inside of it. Oh man, maybe that's what I should do. Hang on. How much is any of those dollars? 280 mil? I'm not spending 280 mil just for one music buff, bro. You're crazy. Do I even have the space for it? It's a 3x2. So we'll replace that. Our problem is just maybe I should replace this one and yeah, whatever. All right, we're gonna go to Foxshine, right? I'm sure Foxshine will enjoy you guys. All right. With that said, I hope to see you guys tomorrow for our Chemical Stinger talk. Let's get you guys about the ads. All right. But with that said, I hope you guys have a great day. If anything else happens, just reach out to me. I'm always available on Discord. If you guys want to join my Discord, you guys can. I'm not gonna force you guys. But this entire entire talk will be VODed as well, by the way. It won't have the music in the background, by the way, so you would just only hear me. But other than that, I would talk to you guys tomorrow. I still need to work out the entire thing from EK's rotation, by the way. I will talk about EK's rotation and more in depth because right now EK is kind of going back and forth, and I will talk about astrology as well. If anything, I was thinking of replacing Monday with EK because EK will be getting its update as well Harmonic Saints. If anything, I can totally replace it with astrology instead because there is a lot of things I like to talk about astrology and the benefits of it and the downfalls of it. But yeah, I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Yay! I need to go get water. I'm hungry.